class divide on the left right now, where you have privileged motherfuckers with health care who get mad at poor and disenfranchised people for not liking the politicians that they like. So why is this accepted on the left? People wondering why I'm going off on the Western left. This is why. This is why. There is no solidarity in this movement. So these privileged people, they see people get left behind. So if you don't support Medicare for all, how many people are going to die because of that? If you are not canceling student loan debt, how many people are living in poverty because of your decision? But meanwhile, privileged people, and I've seen their houses, it's not fair that I've seen it, but I've seen it. These people we talking about, they make a lot of money. These people make a lot of money, and then they get mad at protesters for challenging their favorite politicians. And yes, I am mad because I see people going along with it. I thought we were supposed to have class analysis, but apparently we don't. So when I get mad at the squad for funding the police more, how are you going to get mad at me for criticizing your favorite politicians when they are funding the forces of oppression that are killing us? You know why? Because you're a white privileged motherfucker who's staying at home knowing that you're not going to be a victim of police violence. So since you know you're not going to be a victim of police violence, you get mad at people who are calling out your favorite politicians for being complicit with it. No, we are not allies. No, we are not friends unless you stand in our community. And I'm calling all these people out because I am tired of people putting the preference and the opinions and the emotional health of the politicians over the activists.
Amen.
So,
Amen, Nick. Amen.
Where I come from, so I'm going to get to the question, but where I come from, we shouldn't even give them a fucking excuse like, oh, Rome wasn't the one who did. I don't care. My response to that was, are you telling me that working class people should not challenge your favorite politicians? You made the argument why we shouldn't be mad at Bernie. You made the argument why we should be mad at AOC. Instead of be like, oh my God, these activists, they're so toxic because they mad at your favorite politician. Fuck you.
Welcome to another edition of the Nick and CJ show. I'm one of your hosts. I'm CJ. Nick will be here in just a moment. He will be 30 or 20 or 30 minutes into the stream. He will be joining, but it's still the Nick and CJ show on my birthday. So I'm calling this the CJ birthday stream. So we'll get this out of the way right in the beginning. 1 second. All right, so we'll get that out of the birthday stuff out of the way in the beginning, but we're here to talk about Ryan Grimm. In the interview, I believe it's still going on. It's probably going to go on another, not even 10 minutes. It's about an hour and 46 minutes. I listened to it this morning. Now, I should have said this. So Briahna Joy Gray put out her latest episode, which comes out on Mondays and Thursdays. Thursday's episode was Kshama Sawant and Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm, who we happen to have had on a few days ago, concerning this very issue that is actually brought up. Kshama, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Kshama. It's Shama, not with a K. What Shama says in the video, and she also shouts us out a couple of times in the stream if you were watching it. So I'm expecting a flood of people after that's over in about 8 or 9 minutes to start flooding in over here for commentary on what just ended. So it's amazing how we were just talking about these two figures, or talking with Ryan about Shama. I got to stop saying that, about Shama, and now to hear them talk. But we do know it was after our interview because she mentions it in the video. So that's what we're going to be covering. As you saw, if you didn't see, the video was like, it was things he was saying that not even Shama and Briahna could believe. Like, and I think if you're on Twitter, you saw the little clip that Briahna Joy put up. All right, so today is my birthday stream. I wasn't necessarily planning on streaming. I think I said something like I wasn't going to come unless something big, and this is kind of something big enough at least to get 2 hours out of me. I was just going to hang out anyway. With my wife is working. She's home though, but she's working. So it kind of works out. So I'll come on. And like I said, Nick will be on in about 15 or 20 minutes or so. All right. So, of course, we got to do all the normal stuff that we do in the beginning, and we call it announcements. So, if you are not a part of our mailing list, join our Substack is how to get on our mailing list. Substack is for people who want to get notifications of when we go live or when we put up a clip, or for people who want to be a part of our Discord. Our Discord just launched. I think it was Monday, December 5th. Yeah, it launched on Monday, and it's launched exclusively to our Substack subscribers. So if you want to get notifications, but if you're fine with not getting notifications, but you want to be part of the Discord, you also have to join the Substack to get that. All right, so that takes care of the Substack. The other thing is, where are we down here? This is where we were yesterday. Let's see where we're at now. So yesterday, that was the sub count. Maybe we added a few people. Let's see. All right. So yeah, we added 25, 6 or so people here. So 25 exactly, I believe. 49. So keep pushing. We're shooting. So we're 3,011 behind our goal of 30,000. 3,011 behind our goal of 30,000. It was a steep goal. We didn't think we would get this close, but this is actually pretty close. 3,011. I'm sorry, 3,051. I'm sorry, 3,051. I said 11 as if it was 81, as if it was 70, 89. All right, so let's now like the video. We have 75 likes, 125 people. That's pretty good, actually. Let's do another 25 likes, and then we can move probably to the topic. Oh shoot, I thought I saw 2 Nicks. I was like, oh, that's him right there.
What's popping, friends? What's popping, my family? Man, I didn't know we was gonna do a stream tonight. I was eating my brothers, but
hey, no worries. This wasn't planned at all.
Yeah, I thought he was going live, so I was like, oh shit, I gotta jump on this. I saw something on Twitter.
I know you have. So you probably haven't seen any of the interview then.
No, I saw what was going around on Twitter. That's it.
Man. So
did she post on the YouTube or something?
Yeah, and this time she posted the whole interview. This is not like part.
All right, good.
She posted the whole interview, but the things that Ryan says, man, it is just astonishing. But it's clear to me now what he's here to do. He is here to protect the progressive narrative, and he's the one that goes out. When you say, oh, you're willing to come out. No, he's going out to make sure that narrative is getting out. And he kept hammering home, workers wanted you to vote for this. Workers, he kept hammering that home in the video. That's why I was just like, what? Him and Kshama got into it.
He was
like, hey, y'all got to calm down. Go ahead.
And I've seen many LC supporters on Twitter do this, and it's very interesting because you can tell that Ryan is getting the same direction that they are getting. Say the workers wanted to do that. Yeah. Ignoring the fact that the on the ground workers, not the bosses, was against the actions that the AOC and Bernie and the squad did, and the people who was convinced that they was doing the right thing, they was misled by Bernie and AOC because they are ineffective leftist leaders. That is what I was talking about with Ryan Grimm. I'm like, even if AOC is a leftist leader, and if she got a worker to agree with her tactics, that does not mean she was right. That means she led the worker off the cliff. You understand? And that's the mistake we're not getting here. So for one, the workers knew.
So if a worker, Nick, I want to use this example. If a worker came and said, "I don't think we should have Medicare for all," what would you do?
Ryan Grimm,
you see the silliness in this request. Yes. So a ridiculous worker comes and says they want to do this, or even a group say this is the strategy we want to do. If they come and say we don't think we should have I'm just saying, like, if something is over, it was voted down, that part, right? So it doesn't matter what fashion of the 45% that lost the vote come in and say it really doesn't matter. But we'll get to that video in just a second. But any announcements before we move to the topics? Any announcements? Anything with top guests? I know you were waiting to confirm some guests. You just still working to confirm them?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
anyone
I'll
confirm
have
yet?
more guest announcements for you guys soon. I'll
Okay.
to get them lined up. But as you mentioned, we all knew that Ryan Grimm's job was to be like the media guy for the squad.
Yeah.
It's surprising how low they were willing to sink though, because I thought there would be a point where they say, "Okay, I didn't sign up for this. I'm done." Right? But Ryan's like, "No, I'm gonna ride and die with these motherfuckers." You guys know last thing I passed to you, CJ. Last thing I say to you, and I pass it to you.
Man, that's so funny.
You guys know it's been 7 days. It's been a full week since AOC been on Twitter. She haven't tweeted anything in a week.
Oh, I did not notice that. Wow.
A full week. So AOC, guys, this is a repeated pattern. AOC does a massive fuck up, then she disappears, then she comes back like everything's good. She's gonna be back tweeting some shit like, yeah, for workers' rights. Like 2 weeks later, she wants people to pretend like she knows she did something wrong. And if she was a good faith actor, wouldn't she be out explaining her vote, explaining her logic, even if she got wrong? Like, oh, sorry guys, I got this wrong. This is my logic. Let's work together. No, she's not. She don't owe you an explanation. The same thing with arming Nazis in Ukraine. The same with supporting Juan Guaido in Venezuela. They do these things over and over and over again. And then whenever anyone asks for an explanation, they pretend you're being divisive. They pretend you're being confrontational. I'm like, no, can you explain why you believe arming Nazis is a leftist position? Why voting to break a railroad strike is a leftist position? But she just disappears on Twitter. Why does she do that, CJ? She does that because she know her ass is gonna get ratioed every tweet by socialists and communists.
It don't matter what the tweet is. She could be tweeting about anything. We hopping on that shit.
Advantage. And look, I'm gonna show you guys this. This is her last tweet, and this is why they are scrambling. Team AOC, and this is December 1st. Their last tweet that she had on her profile. This is as of when the last time I checked, like earlier today. And she tweeted this out. And you can already see, like, she had a bunch of her bots and sycophants like it, but she had almost 2,000 comments calling her ass out in this tweet. Well, she was like, she tried to call out Marco Rubio because Marco Rubio said, y'all think Congress just break the strike. So then AOC was trying to turn around like, oh, we're the pro-worker one, and Marco Rubio, not you. And then everyone was like, motherfucker, do you think we are dumb? We know you are a SCAB.
That? Why would you just not chime in?
I responded late to this tweet too, guys, and I said, unreal that you're passing your SCAB activity as a win, and that is what she did in this tweet. And I'll read it just for people who can't see it. She says, glad we are on the same page on the rail workers and sit days, Marco Rubio. A rarity, but we'll take it. The House just sent over what you asked for a full TA deal with sick days and supported and demanded by our rail workers. Gaslighting motherfucker. Can they count on your narrative
that they
So she's trying to pretend that she's the champion of the workers while breaking their strike. And if you look at this thread, everyone calling her out for it. So this was her last tweet. I got like 1,000 likes calling her out for this as well. So now this is her last tweet. They're going rogue. They're going underground because they know they fucked up. So
what's the date on that, by the way? What's the date on that last tweet?
That was December 1st, literally a week ago. That was the last tweet. Wow. Because she knows she's going to get called out left and right. So why do I bring this up? I didn't bring this up for no reason. The reason why AOC is able to go AWOL like this, the reason why she's able to unapologetically sell us out is because she knows she has people like Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm is on a media tour.
Yeah.
Like we didn't invite Ryan on. He asked us. He dared us.
Yeah, so they go to the ground and he's out looking at who are all the negative vibes. Let me go and extinguish that while they go underground. It's coordinated. Go ahead.
Yeah, CJ, that's exactly the point I'm making here. Now Ryan Grimm was on Brown Joy Gray. He essentially asked to come on RBN to defend the squad because he saw nigga. I was talking all shit on Twitter. Like, I told all y'all people they're sellouts. They saw you talking shit. It's all exactly. So he came like, let's go to RBN, let's go to Bree. While AOC go on a vacation, she's like, I did my job. I get my reward. And then the media sycophants go out and defend AOC and the squad. You guys see how the progressive boutique left media apparatus that we call out enable these people? AOC knows that she does not have to explain her votes because she knows that Ryan Grimm exists. She knows that Sam Cedar exists. She knows that Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian exist. Literally, the fact that these people exist, they have a media echo chamber apparatus that will defend them no matter what, the same way that MSNBC will always defend Jim Clyburn and Joe Biden. They created the same apparatus that a lot of these quote-unquote independent lefty voices started to resist. CJ, they used to criticize CNN and MSNBC for doing the same thing they were doing now. And I'll pass it to you, CJ, because I think that's a good preface, because this is why Ryan Grimm went on Briahna Joy Gray. Because AOC is not going to be there. Why is that? Why do we accept that, CJ? Why do we? You guys know the people on the right, they vote, they take positions, and they're basically like, why you vote that way? Why you take that position? And they explain themselves. On the left, the U.S. left is the ultimate cucks. Well, where their politicians blatantly stab them in the back, and then if you call them out, they smear you as a grifter. How crazy is that? Then they don't even get pressure to explain their positions. The people who defend them, like, is AOC going on Ryan Grimm's show? Is he going?
No, he already had the meeting. He already had the meeting with her. He's out executing the plan right now.
Yeah, so you guys see the game. You guys see the game, and RBN
so
calling it out because it's obvious. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, no, like you said, this is so transparent what's happening, and we have a person supposedly on the left who is in part of the media apparatus. That's think about that. Right, listen to how Ryan Grimm talked. Now think about he's in charge of information being disseminated. This guy. And you tell me this is not, come on, man. This is not. I didn't know because I didn't know she disappeared like this. Yeah, I mean, is it normal for her to disappear for a week? Is it normal for her to disappear for a week? I don't think it is. You know,
last time she disappeared like this, she does this all the time. She disappears every time she gets a public embarrassment. She disappeared during the Force to Vote when she called out for Nazi votes. She disappears all the time whenever she gets embarrassed because she knows that Americans have amnesia. So every time she gets exposed, she disappears for a few days. Then she comes back. Hey, Medicare for all. You gotta stand up and fight. And then the people who are fans, they got short memory, maybe because they want to, and then they come out like, yeah, why you guys say AOC? Is she speaking fire right now? Look at her. AOC is speaking fire right now.
Oh, man.
You see, this game is too ridiculous for us to fall for anymore here, right?
Yeah,
anyway,
and
I'll grab my tea. I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. Do you? All right, so let's put up the video, or let's prep the video at least, and then I'll throw up some of your comments here. Where is it? Should be ending soon. If it
any workers who are privy to the real information want to come on the show, I'm more than happy to talk to them.
Yeah, she's ending now. So hang on a second. I'm trying to catch the pause if it lets me.
But the impression.
All right, so I caught it.
I got was this perhaps was something that was offered up by.
All right, I think I have it paused, so we'll leave it there. All right, so let's now go to comments here before we get into this. First, let's start with a couple of super chats here. Oh, I think I need to turn on my backup system. It's kind of moving slow, so maybe the internet is sticky. All right, so here we go. Also, what you have on Hakeem, Second Thought, or UGPO Nick. Hakeem. I don't know who these two. Second Thought, I know. Yeah, I use Second Thought all the time. Hakeem, I don't know who Hakeem is. But Second Thought, they have a little advertisement where they say if you're a socialist or communist and you want to make a joint video. So we've been thinking about, or I thought of the idea of, because I don't want to put it on like nobody else thought of this, just in case you guys don't like it.
Yeah, I need to find more like other.
With them.
Yeah, I don't like people always give me the recommendation. I don't know. I usually read my news, right? So I need to look at see who other Marxist YouTubers. I don't usually know them like that. So thanks for the rec, I guess. But go ahead, CJ.
Here's the next super chat. CJ Nick on recent YouTube community post comment that he pinned that who? Wait. Does it it goes with this. Okay, so maybe it goes together with this. Also, would you have Hakeem second thought or UGP? Okay, and it goes with this. CJ on a recent YouTube community post comment that he pinned bad impunity. Second, referred to RBN as actual fascists. Would you invite him on to talk?
Well,
I mean,
why
not me. It's up to you, Nick. Yeah, it's up to you. I wouldn't know.
why would we talk to that guy? Like I promise there's no argument here. Like I see people say this and they're Democrats. And they're like, oh my God, you're not supporting Democrats, so that means you're supporting the Republicans by default. You're a fascist. Like there's no argument to make here on that. That's so ridiculous. Like, will you argue?
Yeah.
Will you invite someone on your show that's arguing that the sky is red? Like that's a waste of time.
That's always the analogy I give.
Like,
If
why
somebody
would you
says
even
the
suggest
sky
that?
is yellow,
You
then
better, man.
I'm not gonna sit there and go, let's have a debate. I'm gonna go, okay, the sky's yellow for you. Have a good day, and I'm going about my way.
Come on,
but
guys.
for me, I'm just not a debate bro. Like I'm just not that. I'm not somebody said something, so I need to debate them. I'm not that person. Debating requires you to stay within particular lines that I'm not willing to stay within. So I'm not a debate bro. Like somebody else, and not to say that. And it's a difference between somebody who's willing to debate and a debate bro. I feel like this is a debate bro sort of thing. Oh, they're a fascist. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like you get what I'm saying? It falls flat. It's sort of like the example you always say. If somebody called us the imperialist RBN, like it doesn't make any sense. So like, you know what I mean? It doesn't make any sense. So it's not really anything to address. But thank you for the super chat. Here's another one. Nick, could I have a convo with you in a call-in on getting excited for Electrum again? Oh Lord. Neo's algorithm on YouTube.
You can always call in. I'll be back on Revolutionary Discourse this weekend. So you can always call in. I had a lot of different unique conversation disagreements all the time on there. So feel free to call in.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. And let me just make sure. I don't think I saw any other super chats in here. I don't think I did. Here we go. I gotta get in the RBN Substack. I'm late. Do a couple of chats here. Jamal Bowman back just to support the New York Times strikers despite the complete strike break. Here goes Dana. What would Medicare for All mean to you and your family? That's a good question for people to answer. For me, I mean, just saving money on premiums, saving money on deductibles. Like I said, I'm trying to raise money now. I forgot to do this in the announcement, but I'm trying to raise money now that I had to take my daughter to the emergency room. You know, during COVID, when my daughter getting sick, I'm like, nothing is like when she's getting sick, I'll take her if I feel like the cough is real severe or something like that. So I've taken her at least 4 times in like 2 years. That's over $1,000 with the interest now, and just off of that, and that's not any other. And I have another one at another for me. So I'm saying to say, let me just segue here to give my fundraiser a shout out since I didn't do it earlier. Fundraising to pay that bill I told you about, emergency room bill, and then food security for my mom just to fill up her fridge a little more regularly and stop having her eating just the basics. So just trying to put more than just the basics in there and keep it full. Just trying to help out people in the community, and then some car work that needs to be done. So if you're able to contribute, I completely understand. Being in my holiday, being in my birthday is always, Nick, in December. I always understand my birthday is always thrown. You can throw a birthday and Christmas. So I completely understand people right now. Money is tight. So if you're able to contribute, you can. If you can't, you can't. So that's just how it is. I'm not a person that really stresses over bills, Nick. I'm just not. I'll be like, I think a lot of Black people have this sort of mentality, like, what am I supposed to do? I don't have no money. I can't pay it. So it is what it is. But the video looks like it has stopped, Nick. So the live part of it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into this video. Now I do want to start it where Ryan joins because Kshama and Bree.
Actual fuck.
Okay, so yeah, it already stopped streaming. So Kshama and Bree talk for a good 20 or so minutes before Ryan shows up. But when Ryan shows up is when we see the contrast between
Ryan Grimm making Kshama Sawant curse the way she did. That
yes.
Like, guys, and before we get into that, can we sit here and appreciate the irony, right, of our being a little bit more level-headed in a conversation with Ryan Grimm than Briahna? I'm taking pride in that. We were the level-headed ones in having this conversation.
Meanwhile, what he was saying got her to go off.
Meanwhile, Briahna Joy Gray and Kshama was raging. But anyway, I love how they handle it. Don't get it wrong, but isn't it funny that we was the calm ones?
I know. I didn't think of that, but that's funny. So let's get into it. I see more people flooding in because the live just ended maybe 2 or 3 minutes ago. So welcome everybody who's flooding in from watching the stream live. Please comment. Throw your comments in what you thought of the stream before we get into it. I'm just curious. Tell us what you think in the comments, just so I can throw up a couple before we get started. We have 100
super chats that came in. You
can throw those. Yeah.
You mind? I'll pop the super chats I saw before we.
Yeah, go ahead. Do that.
This is damn, here it is. This from CB Jamrock for the $5 he asked. He said happy birthday, CJ. Ryan full of it. Thanks for $5. Thanks for the $50. Thanks for the generous super chat, Zach. CJ, please get on call in one of these days. I want to talk strategy and politics with you. Happy birthday. Yeah. Absolutely. Thanks for the super chat.
Yeah, I just have to plan more because my evenings, that time frame just happens to be a busy time frame on the West Coast, so that's why.
I was thinking about this before. One of these days, like maybe once a week, we need to do a post show, like right.
Yeah, that'll be nice.
Because that was Snobby and Bree does, and it's such a good idea. So maybe we need to set that up behind the scenes. Oh yeah, by the way, all the
that's coming, Zach. Thanks for that.
By the way, all the super chats and everything that's going to CJ. This is his birthday stream, so thank you for the $50.
Oh wow, thank you, sir.
Zach. Yeah, this is your birthday stream, so. All the super chats going to CJ this show. So thank you guys for a super chat. Here's the 999 on the super sticker. Thank you for that. Abboting 71. All right, now let's get back to the show.
Yeah. So I asked for people for Nick just to give their overall opinion about what they heard over there. Oh, she says you didn't catch it now live. Okay, so on no. Oh, no. Cursing is right-wing behavior. Sometimes one might lose their temper, but it's not appropriate. Do not encourage it.
I'm glad that he left that finale at the end because there have been so many times where you guys trigger me with sarcastic comments, and then I go on a long rant. People like, he was joking, Nick. He was joking. And I'm like, all right. So, guys, you need to do what that guy did. I know that was a joke.
Yeah, so Kshama and Bree working for McDonald's because they filleted that fish. They're talking about Ryan. Ryan's Grimm job didn't work on them at all. It was glorious. So they're commenting on the stream. Kshama brought down the house. Wow. NATO's squad.
My bad.
No, go ahead. No, do that.
I'll read that one you can do next. I saw this.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's no super chat. Happy cake day, CJ. So yeah, this hopefully we get CJ son nice for this stream.
Yeah, absolutely.
CJ cut all the thumbnails, so I'm glad that we hopefully we get some nice for this.
Although the last maybe 6 or 7 we have recently, but the ones
I love Aaron. Yeah, Aaron is
the ones before that because I just simply and the thing is, man, you don't understand how much time this frees up that Aaron. So I'm so happy Aaron has been brought on. So we'll be fundraising to make sure she gets paid amount. And I just asked her like how much you want to get paid, and we're gonna take it from there. So, but she said let her do the work and she'll gauge what she feels. I really love that approach of just asking, what do you feel you're worth? And that letting the person assess that. So thank you for all the super chat. Happy birthday, CJ from JM. Thank you for that super chat. Here's another one. Somebody just saying slap that. But thank you for all the comments, all the super chats. This is a good one, I guess, that to drop on my birthday. We could do. Oh, I was putting it up at the same time you were. Happy born day, CJ. Thank you. So let's get into it. So it's 36 minutes, and if we have time, we can always go back and listen to the discussion between just Bree and Kshama. But let's start here. 36 minutes into it, where Ryan comes on, and whenever you want to stop it, just let me know.
Well, look, I'm so glad that we're now being joined by Ryan Grimm as well to offer perhaps a different perspective here. Welcome, Washington Bureau Chief at The Intercept, of course, many-time Bad Faith podcast guest. Ryan, you caught the tail end of what we were saying there. Obviously, Kshama and I are of the mind that what happened with the squad in the vote for the tentative agreement amounts to a betrayal. I seen you take a different position on Twitter, at least, saying that there basically was a strategic choice that was backed by at least some members of some unions, perhaps union leadership, who knows, that actually wanted the squad to go ahead and take this vote to have a shot at the sick leave bill passing. I am of the mind and have always been of the mind.
Before she gives her opinion, now let me just give my opinion on this. And I'm curious to think what you think before she chimes in. This idea that the reason the left did this in the House, not because it was their idea, that some workers came to them and said, do this strategy. If you think these people, if you think it's below these people to literally get some few workers to come and start this so that they can have this as a legitimate source, if you think this is below them, you are wrong. You are wrong.
You're naive.
They will absolutely go in and find, we're talking tens of thousands of workers, okay? So that's the second point. So if they're able to go in, just like they would be able to go in and find a few thousands of tens of thousands of people in millions and millions of people, Nick, to say, I don't want Medicare for all, you can find workers that'll say all of that. And then now you're trying to induce that so you can use it as a reason so that you can have this story. And Ryan is the one that's trying to come out and push this. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, you can easily do it in a way that doesn't make it seem nefarious. You can go to workers. You can say, should you guys continue to go on strike or should Congress intervene? And then, like, let's say 90% say Congress shouldn't intervene. And then, like, well, they'll grab the 10% that said that Congress should intervene. And they say, yeah, we got these workers. They said we should intervene.
Exactly. I mean, just that, and this is the point. You're making the point, the second point that I was going to go to, and that is, what do we know about the vote? That 55% voted. Do we not know that? So what she's saying is the 44% of the workers that wanted to vote for it, that fashion, the minority, remember, that is the minority, came to them and said, employ this strategy. So either way, like, what do we always say? Either way, we could do it this either way. Exactly. If you want to go and say that's your strategy, let me tell you why you shouldn't have did it, because 55% of the total workers, you know how you're trying to act like you're for the workers? The total workers said this. It'd be like them coming to us saying, now apply this same strategy when they say Medicare for all. What is it, 79%? Then why would somebody just come and say 21% don't want that? Why can't we just do that? If we can take the minority of people. Go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, and I'm gonna go to the original point I made before we got to the video. And we knew that the road workers wasn't happy and that this deal may fall apart. You know why? Because we covered this weeks ago. Because we were looking at the posts that came from the workers, the message on the ground that was coming from them, and they say, yeah, we're not okay with this. We're gonna continue to strike. We're not happy with the deal. So let's say there are two factions of workers, right? There's the workers that that want Congress to intervene, which I would argue is a very small minority. And then you have the workers who actually know what's up, that we got to continue to strike. That's the guy that you saw on CNN who said that both Democrats and Republicans betrayed them, right? So why would AOC and the squad, as leftist leaders, take the batch with the ineffective strategy
Right.
and prop them up? So that's why I was talking to Ryan. I said, if AOC is actually an effective leftist leader, she will take the side of the workers who had the best strategy, and then use her position as a leader to explain, yo, this is actually the best route. This is what will lead to you to maximize your worker power. But instead, what AOC did, she led workers who may have been wrong, may not have been, but had good intentions, but led them off a cliff. What does that remind you, CJ? This is what we've been explaining to you guys, what the squad and Bernie Sanders does all the time. Let's all vote for Joe Biden and join the Democratic Party. We push him to the left. How has that gone? And then they say, "Oh, damn! I didn't know that. We didn't know that wouldn't work." And that same thing that happened now when the bill failed and they didn't get their sick day. They're like, "Oh man, who could have known that this one that worked?" Literally every fucking socialist and communist on Twitter, every single expert on this issue could have told you that. But anyway, you guys see how they
The narrative.
lead us off the cliff, being the bad leaders on oops, sorry, accidentally gave you bad advice. Fuck out of here. Go ahead, CJ.
It's all about narratives, and it's about you. We have to understand the strategy in a duopoly. You have to protect the narrative. You have to engage the left or non-establishment, I should say, but because you don't want them to go and start organizing. So you have to protect the progressive narrative, and that's what Ryan is trying so hard by going on this speaking tour to do. He is trying so hard to protect this progressive narrative, because if you don't have a progressive narrative, a understanding by non-establishment people, Nick, that you have somebody fighting the inside, then people get fed up quicker and start organizing. Having this anchor around the left's neck is to keep us anchored to the party. And this is something that they're realizing. All of these failures in the road, Nick, just think about the failures, the bad decisions in like a 12-month span. This is doing severe damage that they cannot come from, where people are permanently saying we're out of the system. You're one of them. I'm one of them. Sabby's one of them. Just think about it. We all were voting Obama just within 10 years ago. And people in our audience. And Kshama bring this up, and we'll get back to the video now. She bring this up, how you're creating a void for the GOP and a demagogue to come in and talk populist talk, to come in with a fake revolution, Nick. This is how you build fascism, by doing this. Let's play the video.
And we were talking about this kind of offline while all of these votes were being counted, that there was a 0% chance that this was going to happen. It seemed like you were somewhat more credulous. Tell me why you don't see this as these votes as a betrayal by progressives of their fundamental duty not to vote for a strike-breaking bill.
And so more is coming out about how this kind of strategy came together. And there's actually a bonus episode that I was listening to earlier today of Chapo Trap House, where Will interviews with Jonah Furman and two railroad workers. And one of the railroad workers turned out to be one of the workers that I'd been talking to throughout this.
Right?
I've talked to him in the past, but I was talking about Devin Mance, who was the other guest on it. So Devin Mance is he talked about, so he's with the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way employees, which is the BMWED, which is one of the ones that rejected the contract. And one of the reasons that rejected the contract is because there's an organized, and I just reached out for the actual name of it. It's called the BMWED Rank and File United. It's a caucus which is not part of leadership, that is organized within the BMWED to push the union to be more militant. And because of that organizing, that's a significant reason. I would say it's the reason why they were able to reject that contract, because they only rejected it with like a 51% vote. So, with a 51% win, everybody gets credit. So they have like 1.3 thousand members or something like that that they've organized over the last year or so to to try to push the union to be stronger, to push their union leadership to be stronger. So they rejected it. They then, this is what came out on Chavo, Jonah like connected that rank and file caucus with Jamal Bowman's office. It was like, look, if the leadership's not going to fight for us, if we're just going down.
So the militant subgroup in this group reached out to militant Jamal Bowman. This smells fishy to me. It smells fishy to me, sir. This smells completely fishy. So they reached out to Jamal Bowman, the guy who takes trips to Israel. Is this serious, Nick? Let's play the video.
Let's go down swinging. Let's push for 7 sick days on the floor. And once that started getting momentum, then you started seeing the kind of the Twitter accounts of the unions themselves saying that they also support this, because obviously union leadership, if the choice is between 0 sick days or 7 sick days, they're going to say we want the 7 sick days. So publicly they were, it's just an interesting moment, because by fighting, they kind of forced then everybody else to come with them, because they didn't want to be embarrassed and not be part of the fight. So it actually was rank and file organized workers who pushed this strategy. So to then turn around and say, how dare you? You should be kicked out of the DSA for listening to the rank and file United. Like, what do we?
You see the excuse being used to keep them in the DSA and to keep them as members.
They really about to go down with the ship, CJ. Holy shit. So not only AOC and the squad about to go down, literally all their defenders. This is where they're gonna die. This the hell, Ryan? Really? I told you, CJ, I didn't see this before. It's unbelievable. And every single AOC single fan is about to go down with them. They decided they're not going to leave. I literally thought they would abandon them at one point. They are not. Ryan's going to throw away all his credibility for these people. Unbelievable. Go ahead, CJ.
And Kshama is seething. Just know that. She's seething in the background right
there.
Yeah,
bro, you can tell.
She's seething.
Can't wait to get this motherfucker, bro. She's like, I cannot believe
these workers organize themselves inside their union to push their union to be more militant. Their union leadership goes with a Biden strategy, which completely fails. So the workers at the last minute try to salvage something out of it, and they go to their allies in DSA, actually, because there's DSA members in Bowman's office. That's how they get connected to Bowman's office. And then Bowman's like, yeah, all right, let's go for it. Let's fight. Let's not go.
This guy, let's fight. Fight what are you talking about? By voting for it.
Down like the union leadership did. And instead of being like, Biden sucks, how could Biden have done this? Like, Biden had all the cards to play. And instead of doing that, instead of playing those cards, he sold the workers out. Instead of that, it's like kick Jamal Bowman out of the DSA. It's like, what? Okay. Which is fine. I have no opinion on whether or not you should start a third party.
I think he meant to say Bowman. I think he meant to say Bowman, because they're saying kick Bowman out too. So I think he meant to say Bowman, even though he said Biden. I think that's what he meant to say.
Okay.
Whether or not Bowman should be kicked out of the DSA.
Yeah,
I just feel like
as something so important.
Because it's not okay. My own opinion, yes, is that's silly.
This is what he does, and Jordan Sheridan does this too. They do these. They drop these nugget bombs, these grenades, and then when you challenge them on it, then they go, I don't have an opinion. You know how he goes, you vote for who you want. You vote for whoever you want. What do you mean? After you just told me all of why I should vote for the Democrats?
Yeah, you were just saying it with your chest, bro. And then as soon as they get challenged,
what are you talking about?
I'm just a journalist. I'm just a reporter.
And that's what he's doing here.
I'm not telling you for real. I'm not telling you for real. I'm telling you how I think.
But Kshama calls him out. Kshama calls him out on it right here. When she said, "Oh, you don't have an opinion now." She calls him out.
It was rank and file organized workers who pushed this strategy. So to then turn around and say, how dare you? You should be kicked out of the DSA for listening to the rank and file United. Like, what do we want? Like, so these workers organize themselves inside their union to push their union to be more militant. Their union leadership goes with a Biden strategy, which completely.
Right now. Kshama is furious. Look at her body language as Ryan's speaking right now, guys.
Oh, she's gonna call him out.
Go ahead.
I don't want to spoil it for you, but it's gonna be glorious.
I haven't seen it. I can tell. I haven't seen the interview. I can tell her body language. Like, I'm about to cut his head off. But go ahead. I'll be sure. Go ahead. I'll point that
completely
out.
Fails. So the workers at the last minute try to salvage something out of it, and they go to their allies in DSA, actually, because there's DSA members in Bowman's office. So that's how they get connected to Bowman's office. And then Bowman's like, yeah, all right, let's go for it. Let's fight. Let's not go down like the union leadership did. And instead of being like, Biden sucks, how could Biden have done this? Like, Biden had all the cards to play. And instead of doing that, instead of playing those cards, he sold the workers out. Instead of that, it's like kick Jamal Bowman out of the DSA. So, it's like, what? Okay, which is fine. I have no opinion on whether or not you should start a third party, whether or not Bowman should be kicked out of the DSA.
Okay,
I just feel like
about something so important.
Because it's not okay. My own opinion, yes, that's silly. That's my own opinion, but it's not my role to have an opinion on. Is what I mean. Yeah.
That's very dishonest because I'll pause. You are not shy.
No, I'll be real quick on when you guys hear Kshama. But Ryan accidentally missed the quiet part there. Do you guys hear it? He said, "Oh, well, my opinion, of course, I think the squad are sellouts, but that's not my role. My role is to apologize for them." You guys see that?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Well, that's not my role." What is your role then, Ryan? Because it seemed like you're defending them at all costs. So yeah, I personally think what they're doing is silly. And like he said this on RBN as well.
He did.
Remember when I asked him? He said, "Personally, I think the squad are ineffective."
She brings it up. Kshama brings it up that you said this on RBN. You said this exactly on RBN. She says that. Why?
That's base as hell. That's base as hell.
She does it like three times. I think she calls.
Let's let it play. I just want to bring that up because Ryan, like, that's how I see this. He admit that he had a personal opinion. This is how I personally feel about the matter, but this is how I'm gonna report on stuff. You guys see what he's saying? But go ahead, CJ.
Like about something so important.
Because it's not okay. My own opinion, yes, that's silly. That's my own opinion, but it's not my role to have an opinion on. Is what I mean. Yeah.
But that's very dishonest because you have no shortage of opinions. You are not shy of giving opinions.
Sure. Okay, I think it's silly. I will admit it. I will admit. Yes.
You've also defended the Democrats, but when it comes to actually fighting for the interests of workers, then you say you don't have an opinion. But
they were literally.
Right there. She already said. She's like, I hope you knew what you was coming here for, sir. That's what she just said. I hope you knew. She just showed up to the dojo like this. She clapping powder together like this. She's like, I hope you know what you came here for, sir. I hope you know.
So let's get back to the video. I'm gonna say this real quick though. Can you guys imagine this person being afraid to debate Marjorie Taylor Greene like AOC? Yeah. AOC's afraid. Like, imagine we have someone like Kshama actually leading the left. Someone who's able to put people like Ryan Grimm in the body bag instead of people like AOC, who's afraid of having a debate against Marjorie Taylor Greene because she might get some exposure, even though she's the largest fundraiser in the Republican Party already. Like, if Kshama was in the position that AOC was, you would not have Marjorie Taylor Greene and Ted Cruz snapping at her.
No.
Because they know she'll put her in the body bag. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about effective leaders. AOC is not an effective leader. Kshama is holding it down in terms of vision and putting people like Ryan Grimm in the body bag. But go ahead, let's continue the video.
Literally the workers. They're literally the workers.
Well, let me ask you this, Ryan. Go ahead, Kshama. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's fine.
Well, what Kshama was saying earlier was, and you said this yourself, Ryan, that there is one union, and in fact, a subsect of this union that's been fighting for it to be more radical. A subsect that represents, you said, about 1,200, 1,500 rail workers out of over 100,000 rail workers that exist.
I think there's like 30,000 in the BMWED.
Okay, yeah. That push for this strategy with Jamal Bowman in particular, and a point that that Kshama was making before you logged on was that there are a ton, many more rank and file that are not being represented by these decisions. Maybe they are for it, maybe they are for against it. And a point that you've made to me as we've been having some of these sideline conversations is how difficult it is to poll people in the short term as these kinds of things are happening. But what we know for a fact is that the unions as a whole, 4 out of the 12 unions representing a majority of the total number of rail workers, 55% if I'm recalling correctly, voted down the very TA that ultimately got passed. And
That's the point I made. I'll just stop and say that. That's the point I was making. So it was 55%.
If it is the case, which of course it is, that the sick leave was going to be coupled with a TA regardless of if the progressives voted for it, because that was the only way it could get out of the House, per Pramila Jayapal's apparently genius wrangling, then what purpose does it serve strategically one way or another for squad members to be voting for that TA and sick leave package? The sick leave was getting to the Senate regardless of what squad members did, which is potentially why at least one squad member, Rashida Tlaib, did not vote for it.
Yeah, that was like a better vote for the people who were angry about the vote on the TA. So, some other squad members could have done that if they want. Obviously, Bowman couldn't because he's the one that is pushing the strategy. Like, so these workers in this independent organized caucus plus the other unions are asking them to vote yes. Should they have voted no yes? If they could still get everything through and do the no yes and still get the 7-day sick day and then do a performative like show I'm against this thing. I'm against this without the sick day.
It's performative. Did you catch that? It's performative if you vote against it. Let's just continue.
Sure, if they could try to figure that out, sure. Like,
but Ryan,
but find a single worker. Find a single worker who puts that in the like top 20 priority.
But Ryan, but we know this already. We know. I'm sorry. Am I completely going crazy? We know that the TA and the whole point of Pramila Jayapal's wrangling was that the TA and the sick days could not leave the House independently. They were going to leave together, and they had the vote for the TA. This is the progressives' whole point, is that they had the vote for the TA anyway, so I might as well have voted for the sick days. But you can flip that. You can say they had the vote for the sick days anyway, so why would I have voted for the TA?
Exactly.
And every argument could have been made about why it's horrible for the Senate not to have been able to pass the sick days, and how progressive, at the same time that progressives actually demonstrated through their votes and their commitments and their articulated disagreements with the Biden administration strategy that Biden was throwing workers under the bus. However, by voting for Biden's strategy, it neutered their ability to do so, did it not?
I mean, Tlaib, no. So look, if they had done what you said, like vote no and then they vote yes, wouldn't their critics be saying, oh, that was just a performative no vote, and they still voted for the sick leave, which then is a fig leaf that covers this thing that
literally makes no logical sense. It's the other way around. So he's trying to reverse logic. He's trying to say, isn't it performative that you voted to bring down the strike, or to vote no against squashing the strike and then voting yes? That's performative. I would say, wouldn't it be the other way? Isn't it performative that the 7-day sick days is performative because you voted to break the strike? That's what's logical. This is what the professional managerial class, they literally try to create their own lanes, their own definitions. He is literally saying the opposite of what it's supposed to mean. Go ahead.
Yeah, you saw how Bree started out her response by saying, am I going crazy? Guys, that is the definition of gaslighting. It's trying to suggest that someone is crazy, someone is wrong. That is literally what it is. So Ryan is putting these suggestions out here to make us think, like, am I getting this shit wrong? Am I crazy? Am I misremember? That is literally his entire job. Is come out and gaslight people and think like, what the fuck? I swear it went the other way around. That's why Brie was, if you look at the very beginning of her response, like, am I going crazy? Because Ryan is gaslighting her. That is literally the definition of gaslighting. It's someone trying to make it seem like you're crazy for being right. That is what he's doing.
You tell me that he's not using a CIA tactic on the left. You tell me this is not nonsense. This is what he's doing here. This is one of the CIA infiltration tactics. He's just kidding in here, mucking up, saying nonsense, just nonsense. It doesn't make logical sense. But let's continue. There's a lot more that Kshama's going to start going off.
That then allows it to get over the Senate, which then and then the Senate takes it out.
No, so, nobody's saying that about.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Briahna. This is a complete straw man argument that has no basis in reality. if socialists and progressive had voted only for a bill with paid sick leave, who in their right mind, who's on the side of the railroad workers, would be blaming them for that? This is complete nonsense. And it's really just a way to, again,
wait a minute.
Reflecting away from the reality that nobody in their right mind, Ryan, maybe despite being a political analyst, you thought that the Senate, there was any chance of the Senate voting yes on a paid sick leave bill, but as Briahna, you were saying,
I love that shit.
Workers in their right mind understood.
I love that shit so much because are we really supposed to believe Ryan Grimm is that dumb? She said, "I know you as a political analysis had no idea." But sorry, go back and play a little bit more.
That's what he tried to act like here too. Yeah. Like we had no what we and that's what remember Rome.
For that.
That's what somebody clipped the clip on Twitter. Rome was like, "What are you talking about?" Or maybe it was you. He was like, "What are you talking about? You trying to act like you didn't know this was gonna happen? Like everybody knew this was gonna happen." And you said back it up like 30 seconds.
Yeah, just go like 15 seconds. Cause I want you guys to hear the whole rant. But I just thought I'm watching this give like that's so funny. She's like, you as a political analyst, apparently you didn't know it was gonna like she's been so brutal while sounding civil. It's so glorious. Like it's so glorious the style in which she's using. So let's play that part again. Yes, she's the classic queen.
So did it not?
I mean, Talib, no. So look, if they had done what you said, like vote no and then they vote yes, wouldn't their critics be saying, "Oh, that was just a performative no vote," and they still voted for the sick leave, which then is a fig leaf that covers this thing that then allows it to get over the Senate, which then and then the Senate takes it out.
No, nobody's saying that about.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Briahna. This is a complete straw man argument that has no basis in reality. If socialists and progressive had voted only for a bill with paid sick leave, who in their right mind, who's on the side of the railroad workers, would be blaming them for that? This is complete nonsense. And it's really just a way to, again,
wait a minute.
Reflecting away from the reality that nobody in their right mind, Ryan, maybe despite being a political analyst, you thought that the Senate, there was any chance of the Senate voting yes on a paid sick leave bill, but as Briahna, you were saying, workers in their right mind understood that there was zero chance of this passing in the Senate. So what they actually did is what's performative, which is where they gave cover.
Right. So she makes the point.
The Biden administration and to the Republicans to break the strike and to sell out the workers. And yes, Biden did betray, and the betrayal began with the Biden administration. There is no question about that. But it is commentators like yourself who will then, at any moment, whoever among the Democratic Party is in the crossfire of workers, justifiably, then those people are going to be protected. So when the fire was against workers, were angry against AOC and Jayapal, then suddenly AOC starts tweeting, and then you all start defending her by saying, "Oh well."
Isn't that exactly what we say he does? She's calling him out directly. Then you come out exactly what I said on Twitter. Why are you coming out to defend these people? Why are you doing that? And she's saying the same thing. Like we aren't the only ones that noticed this.
And remember, ever since we start calling out David Schroeder, Marianne Williamson, and Ryan Grimm and the people who do this, now we start to see this criticism become much more prevalent.
Yes.
Because when we start calling these people out, when we was calling out Ryan Grimm, when we was calling out David Schroeder, people were like, "Oh my God, they do great work." now we know Kshama's the real one. She's not gonna fall for it. But now do you guys see why it's important to call these professional managerial class fucks out, and why we fucks with Kshama? Because she wanted to do that, and she understands the importance of doing that. But so go ahead, CJ.
Yes.
To break the strike and to sell out the workers. And yes, Biden did betray, and the betrayal began with the Biden administration. There is no question about that. But it is commentators like yourself who will then, at any moment, whoever among the Democratic Party is in the crossfire of workers, justifiably, then those people are going to be protected. So when the fire was against workers were angry against AOC and Jayapal, then suddenly AOC starts tweeting, and then you all start defending her by saying, oh well, the unions wanted it. But as I was clarifying before you came, it wasn't union rank and file, and I don't know which rank and file you spoke to, but it is just complete nonsense to say that railroad workers who are just struggling for their basic survival were somehow going to be accepting this. The reality is, again, we have to keep in mind that ultimately, when it came down to the vote, it was sort of it was a very hollow situation. There was no real strategy out for the workers. So we have to keep bringing it back to the more basic question about what is it really that allows workers to win some victories. It is actually by going on strike and having a fighting strategy. So none of this is going to provide a solution. And we on the left, I'm not talking about people like Ryan Grimm. I mean, those of us who
oh, Kshama is a bro. Jesus, straight up savage. I mean that in the best way possible.
I gotta go back and hear that one. I gotta hear that one again.
Kshama is savage. I mean that in all the best way possible.
Oh man. Okay, let's play it again. I'll let it play through this time.
Sort of it was a very hollow situation. There was no real strategy out for the workers. So we have to keep bringing it back to the more basic question about what is it really that allows workers to win some victories. It is actually by going on strike and having a fighting strategy. So none of this is going to provide a solution. And we on the left, I'm not talking about people like Ryan Grimm. I mean, those of us who genuinely want to defend working people, we have the obligation to call out both elected officials who have betrayed us and also the labor leaders who have betrayed us, and not play this game of deflection and obfuscation. When the blame is on AOC, they get to say, oh, it's the labor leaders, and when the blame is on labor leaders, they get to say, oh, it was the Democrats or Biden. They are all together betraying working people.
Okay, well, I would say just go listen to the interview with the workers that Chapo posted.
You see how this is what they're going to try to bank on.
Yep.
This is what Republicans would do. What
Exactly.
What do you mean you don't want a bunch of police in your city of Compton? All these black people right here just said it, and they got a few black people. It's the same thing.
Tactic.
It is
Absolutely.
the same tactic that he's doing right now. What do you
Absolutely.
mean? There is workers, and more now that I'm knowing it went through Jamal Bowman, I absolutely don't think that this was conjured up for them to be covered.
100%.
That they got a worker 100%, especially so a radical worker went to Jamal Bowman. You just said an oxymoron, sir. Let's continue.
Posted. It's called BMWED, Rank and File United. Those
Ryan,
are the
one of those two workers was just on.
He's here to give validity to this, and it's a shame that he's using his journalism. That is using journalism to do this.
To show the establishment. What a fucking
yes, it's a shame.
But on Bad Faith podcast last week, Ross was on Bad Faith last week. We had this conversation last Wednesday, the day all of this went down.
And he was against pushing for the.
Well, this was before it was. We talked before the votes were actually cast, so we didn't have an explicit vote about something that I think none of us really contemplated would happen, which is progressives providing cover for. Sorry, so this is the part that I feel like we're kind of talking past each other on, Ryan. The strategy itself seems like a strategy in quotation marks that you would design to provide explicit cover for a bad outcome, because there is no strategic gain from anybody who cares about the interests of labor for progressives voting for this thing. Coupling the sick leave and the sick days and the TA in the House had the effect of not actually enabling the sick days to get out of the House any more than it had the effect of enabling the TA to get out of the House. Because the business interests of America wanted the strike to be crushed, They were going to vote for the combination package, knowing that the Senate could take care of crushing the sick days. So the idea that to have a strategy where you have an up-down vote on the sick days required squad members to vote for the TA coming out of the House is complete malarkey. It's bullshit. Like, the strategy itself makes no sense. The only reason to have it then is to provide, the only purpose that it serves for someone like Pramila Jayapal is to provide cover for the AOCs and the Jamal Moments and the et cetera.
Yes, and she's making the point. There is no strategic advantage here unless it's here to. There's no other tangible sort of result you get, but to provide cover.
That is what critical thinking looks like, and we all know that Ryan Grimm, he's not paid to think. He's not paid to come up with the analysis.
Yeah,
on
he
why.
said that.
Remember, that's the same thing. That's the same premise that we keep. Ask yourself why. Like, they will criticize the squad, and this is what we covered recently. They will criticize the squad, and I'm like, why are you guys not asking yourself why they're making these mistakes? Like, even on majority report, they're like, well, I disagree with AOC on this. Why are they making this move? There's no curiosity, and that's with Ryan Grimm. There's no curiosity about why they're making these moves. He's like, oh, well, shit, I think they mean well, and they're just dumb, right? But go ahead, CJ.
Absolutely.
Etc., who have to justify why they're voting for something that, as Kshama has described, is a pure labor-crushing, strike-crushing vote. Do you see it differently?
I mean, so if you listen to that interview, the other point that that Devin makes,
he moves right on.
He's going right back to it.
He moves right on.
Well, you not any of the points that Bree just made.
Yeah,
you guys see. I'll be short. You go back to the video, but you guys see how he ignores everything Bree just said. He's on a script. He got everything Bree just said. He said, "Well, if you go back to the interview, Bree always debunked that." Continue. What?
They have to go back to the setup man, to the setup worker. They have to go back to that narrative, because that narrative is the narrative that releases culpability and blame, and because this is devastating. This is one of, look how many days after this happened we're still talking about it. This isn't one of them things that left the news cycle, Nick. I've done like 4 streams in some kind of way on this topic. Like, this is devastating for them. Let's continue.
And that's, as far as he's aware, it's the first time that.
Go ahead. The only thing I was saying is that's why AOC hasn't tweeted, because she's trying to do everything she can to put water on the fire of the story. Yeah. If AOC says anything, the story goes on. Because now people talking about, so they say, hey, AOC, Ilhan, you gotta shut the fuck up. We don't care. We gonna send Ryan out there. We gonna send our boy. We got Ryan working. You know, Vosh is cooking something up too. So just stay calm. We're standing in the heavy hitters. Just shut the fuck up, okay? But go ahead, CJ. Let's continue the video.
Yeah, and I think as the plan is developing, as it's being executed, it's already falling apart. That's when they go, oh damn! Like, it didn't even have a chance to finish. We started saying, what the fuck is this bullshit? Like, before, you get what I'm saying? Like, we started calling it out, and other people too. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was one of the first people calling them out.
Yeah.
One of the first people, and I had such a victory lap because the AOC fans was repeating this Ryan Grimm bullshit, and then we was vindicated. We sniffed it out, and that's why Ryan Grimm volunteered to come on. We didn't reach out. I don't know how Bree got this interview. I'm sure they probably scheduled it in advance. But Ryan Grimm responded to us to come on because he saw our coverage. And his hope was to set the record straight. I don't think it worked that way, right? So now he go on Bree's show to do the same thing. So he got orders, directions, right? But anyway, go ahead, CJ.
Well, we do know they taped it after our show because she watched our show.
Yeah, for sure.
So we do know. So I think she taped it on Monday. So maybe it was Monday after our show, and our show aired like at 3 p.m. Eastern. So could have been in the evening. But let's continue with more of the video.
Using the Railway Labor Act, that a PEB, like a bargain that was kind of brokered by the president, has ever been strengthened. Like that this sets a precedent. Perhaps it had been done for airlines, but it has never happened before with rail workers. It's always been, here it is, we're shoving this down your throat, take it. So for the House to make it actually better sets a new precedent.
They've for what?
So they've been stalling this for 3. They've installed that Congress can actually make a deal for workers better. So there's a
he is really trying to sell this garbage. This narrative is garbage. This is why he looked like the deer in the headlights when I read that article from the World Socialist website, because he was like, because he didn't know there was some reporting on this very thing that was a scam.
Yeah, he don't know what the socialists are saying, CJ.
He didn't know.
Look, maybe he saw the Social Democrats falling for this, right? the professional, they're like, yeah, actually that makes sense. Yeah, I saw your interview, Ryan. Yeah, I guess the workers wrong for it. So he saw the Social Democrats get tricked, and then he saw what we was talking about. He saw War Socialist website, and he ran to the bull that is Kshama Sawant, and he's like, oh, this is what I tell you guys, this is what no Marxist analysis does to the motherfucker. Walking in blind. Well, go ahead, CJ.
All right.
And there's a reason he cares about this, and he explained it. The carriers have been stalling for 3 years, as you know. You've covered this.
Yes.
And the reason that they've been stalling is because they know that they can just jam it down their throats, using the Railway Labor Act and using Congress, right? So now that has changed a little bit because now you have a situation where the House has actually made it better. So if the union, so they're 2 years away from their next contract negotiation. Those negotiations practically start now. Actually, they still have to wrap up the last one, but they're going to start negotiating their next contract very soon. Now the carriers know that there is precedent that in the House, with enough public attention, enough organizing, and enough pressure on them, the House might actually make that deal better for workers. So now the carriers can't just sit there and say, no, we're not going to negotiate at all. We're not going to bargain with you at all. You're just going to take what you can get. And so 2 years from now, and that's what organizing is.
I don't know if you hear what he's saying. This is a pitch for Democrats in 2024 to win the Senate. I don't know if you hear what he's saying. He's saying it's going to pass in the House, and all we need to do is get it passed in the Senate. That's where he's leading this down this road here, because he just said in 2 years, he's saying, look, we're winning. Look, the House passed this. We can make the legislation better. And look where they're trying to make this red-blue. It's the Republicans that's stopping it in the Senate. We just need 6 more or whatever more Democrats in the Senate. This is where this is going. Because there's no other way for your scenario, Ryan, to work unless you get more people in the Senate. It always leads back to Democrats. Go ahead.
No, sorry, I was about to take offense. I used to sell cars. We're not that bad. This guy said, "This is what a used car sells." No, guys, we were trying our best. Don't compare me to Ryan Grimm, okay? Well, sorry, go ahead.
I was a salesperson. I never sold cars, but I would have. I never sold cars, but I was sold cell phones. So people look at us just as bad. So
it's about it's like
Ryan,
how
building. Good might the deal have been if Congress were not empowered to crush the strike power that gives labor their entire leverage? What kind of bill would we be discussing if we didn't have Congress empowered by the Railroad Labor Act to swoop in and negotiate on behalf of business?
Oh, it would probably be a lot better. But it got 80 votes in the Senate and 290 in the House. So we don't live in that world.
But now, Ryan, we are progressives on a progressive podcast that are talking about the incremental improvement, apparently, to a deal that people have been saying firmly no to, despite any other incremental improvements that have been offered up on the table, because the fundamental crux of the disagreement, the sick days, were not in it. And this is why, Ryan, people accuse you, people have accused other reporters who have been covering this, and Jamal Bowman, AOC, Jonah Furman, others, of basically neutering the power of the moment and providing cover for the establishment. Because at the end of the day, the shift in the conversation from why on earth do we have this bill that enables Biden to crush a labor action? And why does Biden get to still call himself the best labor president since FDR while crushing labor? Instead of having that conversation, vociferously argued by the squad members in the broader left media sphere, we're having a conversation. We are celebrating what are supposed to be the left flank of our political discourse for creating a machination in the House that gave cover to progressives to allow that strike crushing to happen in the first instance.
So, but maybe the workers don't want to be part of this fantasy play. Like the workers,
what
like actually,
what are you talking?
So to get rid of the Railway Labor Act? Good. Let's get rid of the Railway Labor Act of 1923. Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's no, like, who's organizing that? Coming in here after it's already been enacted.
Go ahead, Sean. I'm sorry.
It's done, and then people are going to come in on Monday morning and say they're going to get rid of the Railway Labor Act.
We got so mad she forgot she had a guest.
I think this is.
Like she said, this is Bree getting mad. This is Bree getting mad. She go, let me let my socialist alternative voice take it. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sean.
Ryan Grimm is so infuriating. He even pissed Bree off, and she forgot she had a guest on. She also
wait a minute. I'm the host. Hold on. I'm the host. Kshama, go Kshama, do your thing. Kshama, go ahead.
Yeah, but go ahead.
And you can look at her face. You tell me she ain't smirking, knowing that Kshama's about to rip this nigga to shreds. That's the look of I brought my friend, and she's about to whoop your ass, guy.
This is just terrible. This kind of obfuscation. It's like, moving the goalpost at every moment to in order to keep from admitting
Bree's face.
Undeniable logic that Briahna, you were talking about. That there is no universe where you can describe this as a good thing. There was nothing good to be gained out of voting for a bill without the paid sick leave, as the TA bill, as you were saying, and I see you shifting your arguments, Ryan. Every time we present an argument, you're talking about something else. When you went on the Revolutionary Blackout Network podcast, you said that you're not arguing. It's a court.
This is where she quotes us the first time, so I was laughing over it. Let me rewind it so you can hear it.
I gotta make sure I hear it.
And I see you shifting your arguments, Ryan. Every time we present an argument, you're talking about something else. When you went on the Revolutionary Blackout Network podcast, you said that you're not arguing it's a court. You said you're not arguing it's a good thing that the squad did, and yet your overwhelming emphasis is quote unquote explaining. I'm saying putting quotes because I don't think it explains it, but you're trying to explain and defend their action. When we talk about them, you say it's Biden. When you say it's Biden, it's the Railway Labor Act. So it doesn't matter what we say. You are going to your goal is to defend the status quo. And I have to say, more than anything else, it is just rotten to hide behind what some supposed worker said in some podcast, and probably very likely said it in a desperation of not having had a way out, with both their union leaders having failed to organize a strike action and build for mass solidarity nationwide, and with both the Democrats and Republicans selling them out. Yeah, so in that moment of desperation, maybe a worker said that. I don't need to watch that podcast to know which side I am on. I don't need a memo from union rank and file to know which side of a strike breaker bill to be on. Bernie Sanders didn't need a memo. He knew what was the right thing to do. I just wanted to share another example of what it takes to actually stand up for workers. When the UPS Teamsters in 2018 were facing another bad tentative agreement, at that time, the rank and file were very angry, and they had taken a strike authorization vote earlier that year. Does that mean that unanimously 100% of the members voted for strike authorization? Obviously not. So, this whole thing of, there was one worker somewhere on some podcast who said that this was okay. So what? Yes, that's true. There is no vote in the labor movement, and I don't know how much Ryan actually knows about the labor movement. I have been a rank and file member of the labor movement. I've been a delegate to the Labor Council. I have spent 10 years as an elected representative alongside rank and file labor. I know how these things happen, and there is no vote which is unanimous. You can always find one worker who is not for the strike action, who is maybe who has conservative ideas and all that stuff. But that is not the point. The point is, are you as an elected rep?
Now, I need you to remember, she said the word conservative ideas. That's going to come back up. Just remember for reference. So you want to go, what did she say? She said conservative ideas right there. And I'll replay it. Oops, that's too far right here.
for the strike action, who is maybe who has conservative ideas and all that stuff. But that is not the point. The point is, are you as an elected representative who calls yourself a socialist or a progressive, do you understand what your role is? And the reason I'm mentioning the UPS contract battle in 2018 is that at that time, I was also, I've been a city council member for over 9 years. So now, you know, in 2018, 90% of the rank and file of the UPS and Teamsters took a strike authorization vote. I wrote a public op-ed in response to that saying that if the rank and file go on strike, I will have their back. And in just for writing that op-ed, the Teamsters in the Seattle area, the Teamster leadership, let's be clear, in the Seattle area, the labor bureaucrats, they decided to punish me for that. And they refused, and in fact, the entire Labor Council leadership refused to support our re-election campaign in 2019. And we were able to win that campaign despite that and defeat the pro-corporate candidate that the labor leadership had supported because we had the rank and file on our side. The rank and file of the Teamsters Union was donating to our campaign and was door knocking and tabling for our campaign. That is how you stand up for rank and file labor, not hiding behind maybe one conservative rank and file union member, let alone hiding behind the leadership. As a matter of fact, it is your duty to call out the labor leadership that is selling out workers. And that is why ultimately we are not going to have a solution. Again, you know, I'm not here to have an academic debate about supposed clever stratagems among people, you know, in Congress. I'm here to fight for workers, and I'm here to talk to the workers who are listening to this show. And ultimately, my message is to them. I don't expect to convince Ryan Grimm. My message is to workers. And as far as what is our, you know, what is our way forward? Like, where do we go from here? We cannot have a starting point for a way forward unless we talk about the tasks ahead, not only in terms of holding elected officials accountable. And yes, that is why I do believe, as a DSA member myself, that unless the DSA leadership expels these betrayers, they are going to be, the DSA leadership has to own this betrayal. But it's not just about that. It is also about what we need in labor. And so we need a rank and file led militant revival of the labor movement in order to actually achieve anything. So, you know, going forward, next year, the UPS contract, for example, is up for renegotiation. This is a crucial moment because there is a tremendous amount of social power with the UPS workers. There was social power with the railroad workers also, but now this is done. This is, you know, there's been this massive betrayal. We have to learn. We cannot undo what happened, but what we should do is learn the lessons from it. And the lessons from this should be applied to the battle going ahead. And going forward, we need to make sure that we hold labor leaders and elected representatives accountable for them and for the UPS workers, win a strong contract, you know, support the workers going on strike, and really set a good example.
So you say we need a rank and file led labor movement. The rank and file organizes inside BMWED. They push this strategy.
Is he listening? Are you listening to anything they're saying?
This is where it goes off the rails, by the way. This is where Bree had enough of it.
Wow. Bree's done.
Bree had enough of it. And then Bree kind of like gets Kshama pumped up.
What? All right, let's keep playing. I want to see what happens. Wow, I didn't see any.
He's going back to that. You see the narrative that he has to protect. You are not taking him off of this.
What the fuck?
Going forward, we need to make sure that we hold labor leaders and elected representatives accountable for them and for the UPS workers, win a strong contract, you know, support the workers going on strike, and really set a good example.
So you say we need a rank and file led labor movement. The rank and file organizes inside BMWED. They push this strategy.
You cannot.
And you're like, well, there's some conservative, and you smear them as conservative. On what basis are you smearing these workers?
One, it's no more a smear to call somebody conservative than to call them liberal, sir. So it's only a smear in culture war world. So stop it, Ryan. So screw Ryan. Let's stop talking with this dude. He's here. We have to engage with Ryan because, believe it or not, he's a tool of the ruling class to make sure the progressive narrative lives on. He's key in that messaging.
And we're not into that point. Sorry, super quick to that point.
No, go ahead.
We're not going to change Ryan's mind. Obviously, you guys see how he stick to talking points. He's an ideologue. He get paid. This interview makes it clear that he's not a good faith actor. And this is the same reason I talk to like Jackson and other people. It's not about changing their mind. It's about changing the people's mind who think they are legit and that believe in their opinion, right? So we're not going to change his mind. But the guy who think Ryan Grimm is a leftist, yeah, they're going to see this interview and like, holy shit, I know Ryan. That's the point.
And that's the same with David Sirota and Marion Williamson. While we go, we're not changing David Sirota and Marion Williamson. Their infrastructure is making them money through this, the way what they're doing. But if people who think they are the leftists hear us say no, they're not, that's the point. That's the point. And the same thing with Ryan. But let's continue. This is where it starts to gets off the rails a little bit.
I do not appreciate you obscuring what I said. I am not sneering.
You said there's always conservative members you can find in a union.
This is nonsense. This is a pointless
Wait a minute, guys.
It's never going to be unanimous agreement. If you as a socialist don't understand which side to fall on, then I don't know what to say about you. You're not a socialist then.
Right, Ryan, look, you have to acknowledge, and you said it as you recounted your own story, that this represents a subset. We have no idea. This is not, it may or may not be representative of what a majority of rail workers wanted in terms of a strategy. And there's no way for us to know because of how time taking it is to actually take a poll in the moment. In the last ditch effort, as Jamal Bowman explained in a tweet thread, they were in the 11th hour realizing this thing was going to go through anyway, and they were trying to get the most that they could out of it. So just like when an organization, a company decides to unionize, there are some people who didn't want it to unionize, and we take the win as the win, 51%. We take it as a win. Obviously, there's going to be the possibility.
That's the point I was making. Like you're going out and acting like the people who are the minority in the vote, the 45%. Remember, Bree confirmed that it was 55% who didn't want this to go through. So you're saying you keep referring to the workers who lost the vote, sir.
All kind of diverse views. The question is, without punting it to what some labor organizer says somewhere, without punting it, Ryan, can we talk about the value of the strategy and what is actually happening right now? And you said a little glibly earlier, and maybe I shouldn't have characterized it that way, but you said earlier that what are we supposed to do? Talk about getting rid of the Railway Labor Act? Yes.
Yeah, that is after it's like after.
But wait a minute, Ryan. That scope of conversation, the conversation about should Biden veto the bill, the conversation about whether or not the Democrats should have been agitating for all other Democrats to vote this thing down because Democrats should not be standing against labor, the fact that every Democrat in America should have been protesting the existence of this cockamamie thing to begin with, that's a conversation that fundamentally was never going to happen as long as all of the energy was directed toward providing cover for Democrats for taking this vote that they wanted to take, because ultimately the majority of Democrats are in line with big business and the corporations and the railroad industry, point blank, period. 400 industry members wrote to Joe Biden, the Biden administration, the Monday before this vote was cast, demanding that he stand with labor, and he did exactly that. And the broader public has no idea that the posture of this thing is that Joe Biden's hands are not tied. He had a choice, and he had a choice to allow labor to use the leverage that comes from organizing in the first place to actually threaten to have a legal strike and get the full kit and caboodle of what they wanted, and that Joe Biden was the obstacle standing in their path. We are not having that conversation. I think it's largely because of the choices that have been made by the squad.
And can I just clarify, as far as what the views of the members were? The Sheet Metal, Air and Rail Transportation Workers Transportation Division, Brotherhood of Maintenance of Way Employees, Brotherhood of Railroad Signalmen, International Brotherhood of Boilermakers. These are the names of the unions that voted against that tentative agreement. And those four unions together represent more than 55% of all rail labor. So, yes, is there a difference of opinion among the rank and file? Yes, of course. As I said, it is just a completely dishonest and obscuring position to have, and to pull it out of your hat, where you say, oh well, this one railroad worker didn't agree with that. Yeah, that's always going to be true. There's never going to be a unanimous vote. That is not the point. But the fact of the matter here is that 55% of the rail labor rank and file voted against that contract. So you're supposedly saying that even that does not provide any clarity to the socialists and the progressives, let alone Biden, of what to do.
That's a great point. That is a great point.
Let me be clear here. The rank and file union, the BMW, the Brotherhood of Maintenance of Employees, the one that you meant, Maintenance of Way employees, the one that you mentioned, they're one of the biggest trade unions in this group. They voted it down. A significant reason that they voted it down is that this rank and file caucus inside the union organized against it to try to push leadership to get a better deal. So they're with you. They're 100% with you on that. The same people who did that are the people who then went to Bowman's office and said, hey, can we do this? You're now saying it's one guy who's probably conservative.
Nobody's saying it's one guy who's probably conservative. We're saying it's the minority, sir. It was voted down 55%. You can't wiggle your way out of that point.
No one's saying it's one guy who's probably conservative, Ryan. But let me ask you this. Can you justify independently on principles of labor power organization and the stated desires of the union vote as a whole who voted down this contract? Can you justify strategically why this would be something that squad members should do, to vote for a TA that was going to pass anyway with the 7 days sick leave attached? The sick days were going to Congress, was going to the Senate anyway. So strategically, does it make any sense? Can you justify without saying, well, some labor leader told me that this is what would be a good idea, why the squad member should have gone along with that vote? That's what I'm really struggling with.
I mean, the way you justify strategy, one would be like solidarity, like the workers say, do this. So we're
solidarity. Breaking strikes now show solidarity. This shit is so comical, man. This is like Nick, it feels like they've reached a wall with the progressive strategy. Can you think back how excited this progressive people were about this strategy, and just think how that's gone. It is gone, man, because this is complete failure, and you're still, Ryan, trying. You're trying so hard, and it's still failing. Still failing. Let's continue.
Some workers said do this, but the majority of workers, Ryan, we know the majority of these workers did not want this contract. And that, in effect, the likelihood of the 6 days passing was basically zero. I'm sorry, I think it was completely zero. And moreover, even if you thought there was some chance of the 6 days passing, the sick days were going to the Senate anyway without your vote. So what rationale is there to symbolically vote for this thing, this tentative agreement that we know 55% of rail workers have already voted down?
But to get the vote on the 7 sick days, they agreed to it. Now, if I were them, sure, I'd say,
Ryan,
I'd say at the end,
the day Pramila Jayapal links the two together so that they can't get out of the house separately.
I was saying this guy is a talking point, but that's why Bree is fucking so angry. Kshama is about to have a fucking heart attack in the background. This guy will stick to his talking points. He don't care about the conversation. He don't care about acting in good faith. This is like, this guy has been exposed so many times, but if this doesn't do it, if you still think Ryan is good faith after this, then I there's nothing else that would do it, I guess. Like, this is really revealing, like, this conversation. But go ahead, CJ.
Yeah, I think it's revealing on the level of force of vote revealing. Like, so this is even another notch of like.
I didn't see the whole thing. I only saw like the 2-minute clip that Bree, the first clip that she posted. That's the only part I saw. But now watching this, like, this is really revealing. Like, this, I don't like. This is really, really bad. Look for Grimm. Like, he's unapologetically playing the role of squad defender. But let's continue the video.
Separately, that means that all of the people who want the TA to pass, all of the corporate Dems and the corporate Republicans alike, are voting for it. So just like they did not need the progressives vote, the squad members vote to get the TA to pass, they didn't need the squad members vote to get the 7-day sick leaves to pass. So again, what is the strategic value? Let me put it to you this way.
Oh, yeah. Like, and I've said
Rashida Tlaib, does she hate workers? Is she indifferent to the interest of workers because she chose not to vote for this? Is Bernie Sanders indifferent to the interest of workers?
So, well, Bernie the votes were flipped. It was already done. But
sure. But
yeah.
let's stay with
if I were like a squad advisor, and
you notice he just admitted the votes were flipped because he just admitted how the unanimous consent that I told you, the Senate had actually the unanimous consent is essentially already making it past the Senate. So, but let's continue.
Office telling them what to do. I'd say, look, Pelosi's out of here anyway. Like you've already got the agreement for the sick days. It's gonna pass with like 300 votes. Just go up there and vote no. Like it's gonna be easier for you in public if you just go there and vote no. That is what I would have advised. Like, does it change anything? I don't. No, it doesn't change anything. It still passes.
So why then can't these people think for themselves? Because the point that Kshama was making earlier is that she doesn't need a special memo. Bernie Sanders didn't need a special memo. No one needed advice from any bolus of rail workers, large or small, as to what the stakes were here and what these fundamental concerns are, these fundamental labor dynamics are. Why do you think it is that, given the obvious bad optics that everybody can see now,
this is the question I want to have answered.
People who've been defending them against fraud squad charges.
This is the question that we asked before. Is like, you didn't have to vote. Why? And we said it to Ryan when he was here. Why not project like you're left? Why not signal? You have no reason to vote for this.
Kasparian was pissed off. Everyone's pissed off by this. Why couldn't those squad members, why couldn't AOC, Jamal Bowman, Ilhan Omar, why did Rashida Tlaib seem to get it? And all of them did not seem to get it.
Yeah, Rashida read the room better for sure. I don't know. You have to ask them. But I would
gotta read the room to know the answer to this. You gotta read the room to know the.
That's his political analysis.
Yeah, and she has this. Look at Kshama. She had the same reaction as us, laughing at that comment. She's like, "What?" Same reaction as us. Like, what?
You read the room better. Unbelievable.
Wait till she chime in here.
These workers, they're like, we're doing the thing that they want us to do. This is gonna be good, and they didn't, and there wasn't a lot of like the workers did not have the kind of Twitter followings to like show that this was like a play that this rank and file union, like I didn't even learn that it was a rank and file union that caucus that pushed it until.
But Brian, that's unpersuasive to us.
Fine.
Even if they had a Twitter following.
Ask them why they didn't ask them. Like,
well, Ryan, we can't because they don't come on our shows. They talk to you.
Can I just say, you spend all your time defending them, but then you're out of responses when you can't, when you don't have logic and.
Listen to this is what makes him mad here, because she kind of critiques him professionally here. Let's listen.
And there wasn't a lot of like the workers did not have the kind of Twitter followings to like show that this was like a play that this rank and file union, like I didn't even learn that it was a rank and file union that caucus that pushed it until.
But Brian, that's unpersuasive to us.
Fine.
Even if they had a Twitter following.
Ask them why they didn't ask them. Like,
well, Ryan, we can't because they don't come on our shows. They talk to you.
Can I just say, you spend all your time defending them, but then when you're out of responses, when you can't, when you don't have logic and.
You spend all your time defending them, but when you don't run out of logic,
yeah,
spot on. I'm so happy. This feels like a vindication for RBN. It just feels like a vindication. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've been vindicated a lot these last few weeks. But Kshama sees through this guy. She's like, I see you. The tricks you use that tricks everyone else. I see through you. Kshama sees everything about this guy. Go ahead. Jeez, this is
what they say. What they say is they were told by the unions to vote yes. Like that's what they say.
No, they were not told by the unions. What do you mean by unions? We have to be very clear. It's not by the rank and file, and certainly not the majority of the rank and file. I can't verify whether it was some railroad worker somewhere said something to you. I'm not engaging in that kind of sort of. A fanciful sort of thing where I divine what's happened in a meeting that I wasn't in, but that's not the point. I don't need to know that to know what was the right thing to do here. I mean, when it became clear that Congress would be asked to intervene to prevent a strike, Bernie Sanders looked for procedural ways to soften the blow of this defeat on workers. So what he did was include an amendment giving workers 7 days of paid sick time, which was little under half of the workers' original demand. And to his credit, Bernie was quite clear from the get-go that without this, he was going to vote no on imposing the TA. And when his amendment failed, he voted no. So as far as simply what happened in the halls of Congress, this was the correct thing to do. And it is utterly shameful that we cannot say this about AOC and Jayapal and the majority of the SCAB and the Congressional Progressive Caucus about that they also did this. They unfortunately did not do. So as far as the limited aspect of the story of what happened in the halls of Congress, this should have happened, and it didn't happen from the SCAB and from the CPC. AOC justified her vote by claiming she was fighting tooth and nail for the additional sick leave, and so Jamal Bowman said something else like that. But what they really did, what the Congressional Progressive Caucus really did, was pull a con job, and really a ham-fisted one at that, because as Briahna is saying, nobody's really buying this other than spokespeople for the Democrats. Nobody else is buying this. What they did is they colluded with police.
I love
and she calls them out right there. She calls them out. Go ahead.
Kamala is such a savage because she throws these devastating hits in between her dropping fire. She said the only people who believe this are people who pay defend Democrats. Like if you listen to this interview, she does consistently. But let's continue watching the video.
Yeah, I think soon she's gonna refer to us again in just a moment.
Separate out the vote into promising there are roughly 100 votes on the rotten TA in exchange for a separate vote on a sick day amendment, which they knew full well, as we have been saying, there was zero chance that it would not get crushed in the Senate. It was going to, and that brutal reality was confirmed in one day. And so what they really did by doing what they did, what the SCAB and the Congressional Progressive Caucus did was they provided cover for this massive historic sellout is what they did. The outcome was never going to be different. The outcome was going to be no paid sick leave for the railroad workers because Congress was going to carry out the bidding of the bosses. What was at play there was not that. What was at play was how much can they deceive or attempt to deceive the workers and the working class, American working class as a whole, about what happened. That was at play. And it was on that critical component that AOC, Jayapal, and the SCAB and the CPC provided this useful, very useful gift to Biden and Pelosi and the corporate Democrats. That is what happened. So, we have to separate out the two things. And ultimately, this also, again, brings out the question of the larger story. We cannot make sense of what happened by simply, till the end of time, talking about what happened inside Congress. We have to talk about what really works for workers and rank and file union members. And this is not working. Having a union leadership that fails to fight for you, that is cozy with the Democratic Party and has business unionist strategy overall, where they're trying to, much more make peace with the bosses rather than fight for workers. That is not working for us. It is not working for us to have elected officials and political parties that sell us out. We need a new party for the rank and file, and we need a militant revival of the labor movement. Now, I don't expect people like Ryan to agree with me, but that's fine. I am not bothered by that, and I don't care. My point is workers need to do this, and we are not expecting the people who defend AOC and the Democrats to agree with us. But we should not be looking for agreement there in the first place.
And here's the thing.
I just thought this is so weird. Rank and File United is a militant organized
bloc. Can we just clarify this? We can't keep sticking on this point.
Only weird to you, Ryan. The not point, weird to workers.
But wait a minute, Kshama. The point isn't that BMW isn't a real union, or they don't matter, or that they're not a relatively militant union, or that they're at least the leadership isn't relatively militant. That's not the point at all.
Rank and File United is not the leadership. It's a separate.
That subset within the union isn't relative, and you're saying that they're the ones that have directed the union into more militant direction. So they're obviously exerting their influence within the union to move it in a left direction.
Which is what
all of that
can be.
No, but all of that can be the case. it still doesn't make them representative of the 100,000 plus rank and file. So that this is no disrespect to them. They could completely in good faith think that this strategy, which on its face, I got to say, is extremely stupid. They could have in good faith thought it was a good strategy. People make mistakes. I'm not really here for a beef with them. The responsibility that the Congress members have, and which a responsibility that Rashida Tlaib took on herself, is to make an independent decision based on her understanding of power and labor dynamics. That is the point. So like, to me, it's like, what is the logical fallacy? Reasoning by authority or something like that? Like, it's the same problem with some of these identity politics arguments that get made. I don't care if some Black person somewhere said something. I don't care if some gay person somewhere said something. I have an ability to make my own decision. I am informed by what union members think, especially if it's a plurality or majority of union leaders. But one subsect of one union out of 12 unions, it's a black box. And I hope that more of them talk about what the decision making and how this came to be, and they're more than welcome to do so on the show. But all we know and what we're vetting right now is the decision making that was made by the squad. And if the only if the only excuse they have, if the only rationale that they have for why they made the decision that they made was because someone else told me to do so, and they're getting this level of pushback, I would humbly submit that they consider making their own independent decisions next time around instead of playing the blame game, because that's what it feels like right now.
So what do we want? An organized left that moves in unison, led by rank and file workers, or individuals that make their own decisions reading the tea leaves on Twitter?
Ryan, reading the tea leaves on Twitter to know that you shouldn't vote for a legislation that's going to break a strike.
If the Twitter tea leaves don't know what they're talking about, there was going to be no strike. Like so many people were just coming into this.
This is where he starts to have a little mask off moment here about the strike. So let's make sure we listen here.
Completely clueless about Railway Labor Act, about what.
I'm sorry. I thought I had rewinded a little bit. Sorry. Let me rewind it a little bit right here. Where he explains the Labor Act right here.
The point that Kshama was making earlier is that she doesn't need a special memo. Bernie Sanders didn't need a special memo. No one needed advice from.
Sorry. Hold on a second here. I skipped it too much.
Make peace with the bosses rather than fight for workers. That is not working for us. It is not working for us to have elected officials and political.
Okay, so yeah, this is where we're at, but it's the second part she says.
With us, but we should not be looking for agreement there in the first place.
And here's the thing.
Rank, I just thought this is so weird. Rank and File United is a militant organized
Can we just clarify this? We can't keep sticking on this point.
Only weird to you, Ryan.
The
not
point.
Weird to workers.
But wait a minute, Kshama. Strategy, which on its face, I got to say, is extremely stupid.
Okay, finally in the right place.
They thought it was a good strategy. People make mistakes. I'm not really here for a beef with them. The responsibility that the Congress members have, and which a responsibility that Rashida Tlaib took on herself, is to make an independent decision based on her understanding of power and labor dynamics. That is the point. So like, to me, it's like, what is the logical fallacy? Reasoning by authority or something like that? Like, it's the same problem with some of these identity politics arguments that get made. I don't care if some Black person somewhere said something. I don't care if some gay person somewhere said something. I have an ability to make my own decision. I am informed by what union members think, especially if it's a plurality or majority of union leaders. But one subsect of one union out of 12 unions, it's a black box. And I hope that more of them talk about what the decision making and how this came to be, and they're more than welcome to do so on the show. But all we know and what we're vetting right now is the decision making that was made by the squad. And if the only if the only excuse they have, if the only rationale that they have for why they made the decision that they made was because someone else told me to do so, and they're getting this level of pushback, I would humbly submit that they consider making their own independent decisions next time around instead of playing the blame game, because that's what it feels like right now.
So what do we want? An organized left that moves in unison, led by rank and file workers, or individuals that make their own decisions reading Twitter?
So this is him being mad and being sarcastic, because he's saying, what do we want? An organized left right by rank and file? Because he's suggesting that the organized left would be led by the rank and file that said to vote yes to strike break. That's what he's suggesting. It's completely nonsensical.
reading the tea leaves on Twitter.
Ryan, the tea leaves,
What's our
reading the tea leaves on Twitter to know that you shouldn't vote for a legislation that's going to break a strike.
If the Twitter tea leaves don't know what they're talking about, there was going to be no strike. Like so many people were just coming into this completely clueless about Railway Labor Act, about what had happened over the previous months, the previous years, and they're like, oh, there's going to be and finally, if people are like, oh, we're going to get our general strike, it's going to happen, we're going to get the strike. There was never going to be a strike.
Ryan,
once Biden sent that thing to Congress, it was done. So
Ryan,
why would they pay attention to people that aren't paying attention themselves?
Why is the squad voting for it? That's the only thing that we're not talking about anybody else on the internet. No one's talking
He's
about.
He's doing everything but answering that part.
Everything to deflect.
Nobody's talking.
Everything but that part.
Even right now, the words general strike, for better or for worse, have not come up in the context of this podcast. What we're talking about is why these so-called progressives have taken the position to vote for something that didn't need their vote to pass. Either way, the good part didn't need their vote to pass, the bad part didn't need their vote to pass. Why, instead of taking the position where they clarified the distinctions, this is their job to meet. They don't really have a ton of power, but what they have is the power to clarify the distinctions between the Democratic Party, how it should be operating if it was genuinely a pro-labor party, and how it is in fact operating.
Right.
And instead, they took a vote that neutered their ability to do so and made them complicit. And instead of using all of this energy and oxygen talking about how Biden has betrayed labor and how this is a disaster for labor relations in the Democratic Party, and how, as Kshama said before you joined, it's opened up the door for all of these conservatives to say that they voted the right way when Democrats are voting the wrong way, the Marco Rubios and the Ted Cruzes of the world. Instead of all of that, we're now having a conversation about how the Democratic Party apparatus created a mechanism to provide cover for squad members so that there can continue to be a fiction that there is in fact a left flank doing the Lord's work within the Democratic Party.
She just said a mouthful, and that was spot on. It's all to have its non-establishment energy be gobbled up and sent back to the Democratic Party, and he's here doing it. You think this is about one subject when this is just first step in getting people back to the Democratic Party in 2024.
I think the key distinction might be, in order to try to understand why the workers would want them to vote yes, and why the squad would listen to them and vote yes, is that, and this is fine if you want to criticize them on this, that they genuinely wanted this fight to the end, and they thought that they had a shot. Like, especially
Ryan, why
when
would they think that?
You got John Cornyn, who's a very conservative Republican, on Tuesday, and then walking it back on Wednesday. Tuesday saying, you know what, I'm open to these sick days. I think there's going to be robust support for this. The workers
Ryan,
are like, let's put.
So the Washington Insider is trying to convince us that the nonsense people say before the vote they take means something. So you see, he's trying to sell that it had a possibility of passing in the Senate. That is what he's trying to sell. This guy who is the Washington bureau chief of the Intercept, or was. How does he not know that? How does he not know that this had no chance, regardless of whatever statement you're talking about? Just
really
shameful.
Believe that?
Do I really believe that they thought it? I was really talking to them all. I was talking to them all throughout it while they're doing their Republican whip counts. You can call them idiots. You can call them naive. But these are people who are fighting, for their dignity and for what they want in the workplace. They were not ready to just give up. I'm
not asking what
you might be right.
You might be right. I'm asking what you believed, Ryan. Did you believe that John Cornyn? Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, Kshama.
No, I think this is just stunningly dishonest when you and I.
This is another exchange right here.
Are calling and hundreds of thousands of workers who understand what has happened are calling out the betrayal of the squad and the Democratic Party and President Biden. You have commentators and political analysts on the side of the Democratic Party saying that if you disagree with this, then you are actually sneering at workers who wanted this. You are being condescending to the workers who wanted this. This is just sophistry, standing behind workers, supposedly what workers said, to say that you're actually, it's like just stunning political gaslighting to say that if you are calling out Squad and Biden for this betrayal, that somehow you are the ones betraying the workers because you don't understand the workers wanted it. This is rank sophistry. The paid sick leave was the central demand of the workers. The majority of the workers voted against a tentative agreement without the paid sick leave. What more clarity is needed to understand what should an elected representative who supposedly stands up for workers should do? We don't need to read Twitter tea leaves. Bernie Sanders did not need to read Twitter tea
also,
leaves
Kshama,
to understand what to do.
It's all moot because Ryan, the 7 days was going to the Senate anyway, with or without the squad members' votes.
But if they vote no and then yes, what they're saying is that they really don't believe. They don't really believe it's happening. Like, so they're saying,
and
like,
so what?
What? Oh,
it's an unsellable point, and we're coming to an end. We're not going to watch all of maybe another 2 or 3 minutes because I'm waiting for Kshama to say shout out Sud again. But in this last heated exchange, I'm about to have one in a few minutes here. It is like he is trying to sell illogical logic. This has no logic, but he's trying to sell it as logic. This is terrible. This is stunning. Go ahead, Nick.
No sense of decency, no sense of honor is what I've seen in this interview. It's stunning. These people are legitimately going down with the ship. If you ask me, I thought these people would jump off the ship once it was obvious that Bernie and AOC and the squad was exposed as sellouts. No, they're going down with it, and it's unbelievable. But let's continue.
Yeah, let's continue here.
In voting, because that's where momentum comes from.
No. Come on, Ryan. You think that Jamal Bowman voting for this thing in the House is affecting whether John Cornyn or any of these other people who said they were flip-flopping and on the line and on the fence about this were actually going to come through for workers? That was what was going to determine the outcome?
I'm telling you, I think that helps understand the mindset. Like I said, I would have read the room and been like, no, vote no, yes.
But Ryan, here's the other problem of this. You saying, and I hope you know that, like, I'm trying to say this with all of respect here, Ryan. Like, you taking that position and kind of like simultaneously being in the mix. And I know you don't perceive yourself as defending the squad, but the second this happened, we're getting quote tweets from you and back and forth with you and AOC and Jonah Furman, all kind of saying, well, you can say this was a bad strategy, but it's what the union people wanted. And kind of,
but isn't it good to know that?
But wait a minute, Ryan, what you did not say is on the internet at that time is what you're saying now, which is that I would have read the room differently. I might've made a different choice.
I said that on Sorota's podcast.
Okay, when people are asking AOC these questions, when I put to AOC, okay, with all due respect, why is it? If you think that this is the worker-led thing to do, why do you think Rashida Tlaib made a different choice? Is it because she doesn't care about workers as much as you do, or is there something else going on here? I don't see you intervening, elevating those kinds of questions. I don't see you interrogating the squad members' decision making in those ways.
That's the point I have.
And that's why people come to the conclusion that you are trying to provide some cover for these people instead of having a genuinely neutral and
this is the point I made in my tweet, the quote tweet that I had that he got mad about, is that oh no, I'm neutral. People get mad at me when I talk about Trump. You mean culture war people, so I'm not talking about the red blue game people. But anyway, I'm gonna go off on a tangent. Let's let this play.
Interrogative kind of approach to these moments. I mean, what do you say to that?
Which part of it?
Oh my God!
It seems like, to use Kshama's word, sophistry. It seems like playing both sides a little bit for you to be saying here, well, yeah, sure, the squad didn't have to make that choice and I might have made a different choice. And the role that you seem to be playing on Twitter was just to say, here's the best justifications for why the squad made this choice. There doesn't seem to be the same energy for you saying, here are all the legitimate reasons why someone might have thought that the squad's choice is a bad choice to make.
And that's obvious to everybody.
Well, in this,
yes.
And Ryan about to pretend, but what I'm assuming what he's gonna pretend what you're saying is crazy. But this is obvious to literally everybody except Ryan Grimm and his fans. Ryan Grimm and his fans pretend that everyone don't know what he's doing. where he aggressively defend the squad on Twitter. And if you guys not on Twitter, that's fine. But on Twitter, he goes ham on anyone who criticizes the squad. But then when he criticizes the squad, he's like, oh, yeah, I got disagreement, whatever. Not a big deal. Why don't you go after the squad? Why don't you go after the squad with the same heat you go after the people who you disagree with when they criticize the squad?
Right.
And it's so obvious. And he thinks he's tricking people, and the CIA leftists that agree with them thinks they're tricking people. You guys are not slick. You're not as slick as you think.
They're being called out on bad faith. He's got called out here. Like, it's not, nobody's falling for this, but only the people who already wants to stay in this camp. Nobody else, no persuadable person is going to fall for this.
Sure, I'm sure that I did say it like on Twitter somewhere. But from my perspective, it's the wrong question to ask. Like the fight starts with Biden. It's Biden, then it's Pelosi, and then it's analyzing like how you move.
Where's the squad? You're not listening. What step of them?
Throughout the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, try to
let me
get
ask you
to
this Ryan, also.
Vote. Like this,
what
whether they vote no, yes, or yes, no, like on that procedural vote is like, to me, wasn't like.
What do we know about what happened before Pramila Jayapal popped her head up and said, look at me, I've done the most genius thing and linked these things together? What kind of conversations we're having about putting one good TA through that actually included the sick days in the House?
Yeah, that was off the table, and that's Pelosi's fault and Biden's fault. Like Biden could have put the sick days right into the TA. Pelosi could have insisted on that.
Ryan, you yourself said Biden was not going to do it. You said if anybody thought Biden was going to do it, you keep moving backwards and forwards depending on what question is posed to you. The point here is that if you or anybody else is going to defend the sellout by saying, well, it happened, we can't turn back the clock, that is worse. The sellout is made worse if it is defended afterwards. It's far worse. It's selling out the workers.
She is calling them out to his face. It's far worse without saying, Ryan, you're far worse. She's saying a person who defends sellouts is far worse. Go ahead.
And CJ, how many times have we explained this concept on RBN? It's like the professional managerial class cannot, to their core, acknowledge this point. If you are a sellout, that is worse than an open enemy.
Yes.
Workers know this. People know this. This is why we criticize Bernie and the squad. Selling out is worse than what you do if you're Joe Manchin and you're our enemy. And Ryan Grimm in a professional managerial class, the Jordan Sheridan, these people pretend they don't know that. It was the same for Obama too. I came with way more venom versus Obama than I did other Dems at that time and even now. Because Obama was a traitor. Traitors should be treated worse because they are the most malicious. But you go back.
This is why I say I hate Coons. This is why I say I hate Coons more than KKK.
And then these class warriors for the rich, the professional managerial class people, they pretend. Why are you so mean to people who are closest to you? They're not close to us. They betrayed us. That's two different things. And they pretend they don't know what that is.
Right.
What, CJ?
No, that's a great point. Let's listen to her.
A second time, which is what you've been doing. And, it is betraying the working class by defending what happened because we have to be honest with the working class.
I feel like the point was lost because I started in the middle. So we wanted because she makes a very good point and she's calling out Ryan directly to his face.
That is worse. The sellout is...
Oh, sorry. I want to make sure I don't go too far back. So I'm really watching this really close. Hold on a second here. Okay, right there. Let's see.
Biden was not going to do it. You said if anybody thought Biden was going to do it, you keep moving backwards and forwards depending on what question is posed to you. The point here is that if you or anybody else is going to defend the sellout by saying, well, it happened, we can't turn back the clock, that is worse. The sellout is made worse if it is defended afterwards. It's far worse. It's selling out the workers a second time, which is what you've been doing. And, it is betraying the working class by defending what happened because we have to be honest with the working class and not do backflips to defend the betrayals. That's what it comes down to. Yes, it happened, but what happened was not a good thing. It was a straight up betrayal. So if you're not able to say that, then it really begs the question: what is it that your message is for what should be done going forward? If you don't agree that what happened was a betrayal, but then you also say that had you been there, you would have done differently.
Or just as a face-saving
I don't know what to make
thing.
of it. All I know is that socialists can't defend it. We have to clarify what happened, and we have to clarify what to do going forward.
So the betrayal was Biden's. Like the union put all of its
Why can't
eggs
he
in the
say
Biden.
it, Nick? Why can't he? He is trying so hard to act like you can't be betrayed by multiple people. You can't. They can't be betrayed by the union bosses, by the progressives and squad and Biden. That's what he's saying. I don't get it.
I literally can't believe how much these people are debasing themselves over the squad. It's unbelievable. Like you're embarrassing yourself, man. That's all you're doing. Go ahead. It's honestly astounding to me how bad this is.
And then
so before we started watching it, you knew it was bad, but you didn't know he would defile himself.
I can't believe how much he's debasing his reputation on this. Like this is the hill that you die on. Like this is embarrassing for him. Like you're not defending the squad. You're not making Kshama's or Bree's argument less proficient. You just exposing your character. And everything that Jimmy said about you, everything that every left critic said about you on Twitter, you are proving them correct right now. And it's unbelievable. Go ahead.
Spot on.
And then Biden betrayed them.
And what about Pramila Jayapal? Was part of the betrayal creating this fiction of a bifurcated bill that now set the progressives up to do all of the shenanigans you've been talking about for the last hour?
that was a Hail Mary that they worked on behalf of these workers. And I don't think that do either of you have any?
That was not a Hail Mary, and I can't remember. Yeah, it was a stream I did with you where it's an article. You can go see it. Maybe I'll pull it up later. Just as I'm not gonna read it, but just to get you to get everybody the headline so that you can go read it. This is not. It's not a fumble. Like this has been written. It's on the World Socialist website. There's several articles you can read about this. This is a sham, and people knew it. And what's the guy Crowder? Is his name Crowder? He's a Democrat rep. I can't remember his name, but he did an interview where before the Senate vote, he said on TV he was getting interviewed by MSNBC. Can't remember the rep name. For some reason, I'm thinking of the name Crowder, but it could not. That may not be it though. Kim comes on there and says, "Yeah, this other bill," and the reporter and the anchor replies back and says, "Well, we know that's not going to go anywhere, but it was a great attempt. This is before the vote. This is before the vote, so they knew." And now you're trying to act like, well, it's a possibility. Somebody said this, so maybe we can wrangle some votes. It's completely disingenuous. But to your point, Nick, the reason it's debasing because it's so clearly not the truth. It's like standing outside with a clear blue sky and the person is saying, look, the sky is yellow, and you're looking at him like, what? That's what he's doing. It's defiling his character. But
he got the assignment. If it doesn't do the assignment correctly, he won't get the assignment again. You guys know what I mean?
Yeah.
He got the assignment to defend the squad for access, and if he is not successful, if he wavers, he's not getting it again. That is what this is.
He can't buckle to say anything other than the talking point. He can't buckle beyond the talking point.
Yeah, if he does, they will scratch him off the list. That's how it works. That's how manufacturing consent works. That was known Chomsky said. It's not like a meeting where they say, "Oh, we got this complicit plan." They give you the assignment. If you don't follow the assignment correctly, you're out of the club. That's how it works. So then the people who rise to the top, you don't even have to tell them to do Ukraine propaganda because they're gonna do it.
Because they know because you keep rewarding them. They know because you keep rewarding them. They know you because you keep bringing them back on. So that's why Malcolm Nance, for example, will go crazier and crazier in his Russia propaganda because every time he goes crazy, you bring him back on. So next time he's going to show up in a military outfit. Remember that? That's just flashed across my head. But let's listen.
Betrayal was Biden's. Like the union put all of its eggs in the Biden basket, and then Biden betrayed them.
And what about Pramila Jayapal? Was part of the betrayal creating this fiction of a bifurcated bill that now set the progressives up to do all of the shenanigans you've been talking about?
That was a Hail Mary that they worked on behalf of these workers. And I don't think that. Do either of you have any responsibility to identify a worker who says that the actual betrayal was after Biden sent it to Congress? That in their attempt,
all of it is a betrayal. All of it is a betrayal.
You have to find a single worker who says that that's the betrayal.
I don't accept. This is. I have to say, Briahna, I find this utterly shocking.
This is where the cussing comes in right here, because she gets. Go ahead.
I want you to finish too, but at this point, I think it happened maybe 10 minutes ago, but Kshama's patience meter has long since been broken. Like, because I've been watching the last few minutes. She's been seething. She's been seething for the last 2 minutes. Now it's over. Like, I'm very interested in seeing this part. Her patience has been worn out, and now we're gonna see the results of it. Let's check it out.
Do either of you have any responsibility to identify a worker who says that the actual betrayal was after Biden sent it to Congress? That in their attempt,
all of it is a betrayal. All of it is a betrayal.
You have to find a single worker who says that that's the betrayal.
I don't accept. This is. I have to say, Briahna, I find this utterly shocking that someone like Ryan Grimm can act like he is defending the workers. This is utterly shocking, and it is just. It's just really. It's absolutely just rank nonsense, and it is passing the buck. In reality, what is happening is that you are defending the betrayers of the working class. It's just beyond the pale. There is no mystery here. These workers are struggling because they are being denied even the basics. In the 21st century, in the richest country in the world, they are being denied something as basic as paid sick leave. And this betrayal has been engineered both by the labor leaders and by the people in Congress and President Biden. It is as simple as that. It was about paid sick leave in the richest country in the world, and they couldn't win that. Why? Because they were betrayed. There is nothing complicated about that. So if you are incapable of just simply saying that, I just find it beyond the pale. And it's just stunning to me. It's just mind-boggling to me that you would not only stop there, but you would then turn around and brand us as somehow betraying working people, right? Because we somehow are, supposedly not agreeing that some of the workers wanted this. As I said before, and I will repeat what I said, it is possible that given the desperation that the workers felt, maybe one or two workers said, yes, this is the best we can do. Yes, but the best that could have been done is not what the squad did. The best that they could have done in the absence of a fighting strategy, in the absence of a strike action, in the absence of mass rallies and walkouts across the nation with the AFL-CIO, national and local AFL-CIOs supporting them, which is what should have happened. But in the absence of that, the best that could have happened in Congress was not what happened. The best that could have happened is the squad and the Congressional Progressive Caucus doing what Bernie Sanders did, which was knowing where to draw the line on the sand, no on a strike breaker bill. It is as simple as that.
Here's the basic point, though. We know this. Rank and File United organized against.
Here we go. Right back to the script. Right back to the script. Unbelievable. Right back to the script.
Hey, we can call it here, bro.
Yeah.
I'll let you go back in because I don't want to watch. I want you guys to have a little bit. Actually, let me let them answer this question because for some reason I have in my notes to take this to 1:37, but I don't think I'm gonna take it that long. But for some reason I have it there.
Where's the point? What do you know the point where Kshama was like, "What the fuck"?
Yeah, I think that's the reason what I'm trying to cover. Maybe that's the reason why I say to go to 1:30. So let's play some more because that's what I do have in my notes here. So
they voted it down. Like without their work, it may not even have been voted down because then if BMWED approves it, it probably gets approved because then you have 9 out of 12 and BMWED is one of the biggest unions. So a caucus, the Rank and File United within that union that played a key role in voting down the TA. Then was the caucus that organized with Bowman to do this. You can say they were wrong. You can say it's just one worker, that it's not representative, but there should be some responsibility to find at least then some other workers who say, no, in fact, this squad, this was a betrayal.
Sorry, what the actual fuck are you saying?
That's it. That's the one part.
Go ahead.
Imagine being so terrible that you force Kshama Sawant to first.
Because she can't believe you're trying to spin this as a good thing for work. She can't believe you're trying to spin this as a pro-worker thing. Come on here and say, yeah, they did it and it's not a big deal. But the fact that you're trying to, she didn't think he would come on and do that part. He thought he would just come on and explain it, not to act like this is a pro-worker thing. It is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, play that part again. I think you got it.
Yeah.
I want to hear that. This part is so good. This is the only part of the interview I saw, the 2-minute clip. This is the only part I saw. Let's play this part and then we can wrap after Kshama's last.
Absolutely. Maybe that's why I put the 137 here. Okay, let's play.
The TA, they voted it down. Like without their work, it may not even have been voted down, because then if BMWED approves it, it probably gets approved, because then you have 9 out of 12, and BMWED is one of the biggest unions. So a caucus, the Rank and File United within that union, that played a key role in voting down the TA, then was the caucus that organized with Bowman to do this. You can say they were wrong. You can say it's just one worker, that it's not representative, but there should be some responsibility to find at least then some other workers who say, no, in fact, this squad, this was a betrayal.
Sorry, what the actual fuck? Are you saying that those of us who are standing up for workers, we have the responsibility? You have the responsibility.
Yes, you have to find a worker, one worker.
You have the responsibility to accept even the most basic of reality. This is just absolutely unacceptable for you to pivot to saying that those of us who are fighting for workers are actually the ones against workers. This is just complete. I mean, it's
then which workers? What workers? You keep saying workers.
First of all, Ryan, you and I both know we have seen.
Ryan is having his gaslighting. Yeah, if we can stop it here. Yeah, Ryan is having his gaslighting called out to his face, and the reason why I think he's squirming is because people gaslight all the time and get it called out. But when you are uncomfortable because it sounds bad yourself, that's what you're feeling. Because I don't have a fucking argument for this garbage stance that I have, Nick. Yeah. I don't have an argument. So, damn, why don't they just believe in the bullshit that you get what I'm saying? That's why he is acting that way, is because you have an argument that has no logic. It's bad logic. And you're trying to push it and nobody's buying it. Imagine you trying to sell cars, Nick, for 2 months and nobody's buying a car. Like, are you going to internalize and say, maybe something I'm doing wrong? That's not what Ryan's doing. He said, no, I'm going to go harder. Go ahead.
Ryan Grimm is so frustrating that he brought the pure gangster out of Kshama Sawant. Like, Kshama went straight like that. She went hood on him right at the end. Like, this is what the actual fuck? And she should be paid for it, because why should we maintain our composure talking to someone like that? So,
yes, that's why. I mean,
I'm glad Kshama did it. I'm glad Kshama did it, because if it was just us yelling at them, they were like, "Oh my god, look at these angry workers."
Yeah,
I'm glad that we had someone like Kshama lose their patience on the Ryan, right? If she was if it was us, it wouldn't have landed. But the fact that Kshama
been angry black dudes yelling at him.
Yeah, we would have been just the angry black men yelling at him. But the fact that Kshama went hood on him, this is great to see. It's great to see.
Because if you bringing it out at her, that means you are saying something so outrageous. Because she was shocked. Again, she knew Ryan probably have a different opinion. What she was shocked by, and what to me, I can just see it in her face. She was so shocked. She was having an out-of-body experience. Like, I can't believe this guy is saying this. It's like somebody really trying to convince you that the sky is yellow. Like, they're selling t-shirts that say the sky is like, what the actual fuck are you doing? Like, we're outside, it's blue. I'm looking at the fucking sky. So it was just real time. We can see the shock set in to Kshama there.
Because Kshama been on. Sorry to interrupt, CJ, but Kshama been on RBN before. I reached out. We gotta get her back on. I reached out.
Yeah, we gotta get her back on.
Yeah, so we see. Whenever Kshama is available because that was amazing.
Wow, and go finish it. It's still like 20 minutes, and it goes to the end. It goes hard to the end. Like, so go and finish that, and you got to watch a little, like 30-40 minutes in the beginning that we skipped over. It's a great video. It's very, and the thing is, Nick, we're gonna keep having these things. We're gonna keep having them because the empire collapsing means they have to move right. And if you choose to coalition with them, aka progressive Democrats, you have to go right, i.e., Israel, i.e., Ukraine. You see, you have to move right. And now with the police state, they're voting for the police state and now breaking strikes. You tell me, did Biden move left or did progressive move right? Because it absolutely feels like progressives moved right. I would have never thought, as bad as I thought the squad was, I would never think they would have been voting for no strike, to break no strike.
So
never.
Sorry, CJ, go ahead. No, sorry, CJ, my bad.
No, I was just gonna say, and especially on the fact that they didn't even need their vote. Go ahead.
So let's ask this question to end the stream. Which was worse? Brown Joy Gray versus Cenk Uygur? Or Kshama Sawant versus Ryan Grimm? We had a few of these moments of the professional managerial class getting spanked down.
Yeah.
And this is another one. Like, we had so many, like, I don't know, like, and there's a few more that like, and then you had Bree versus Cenk. I think those are the top two. Like,
I think maybe satisfying Cenk, but what is more effective and what's going to contribute more to?
Yeah, this is another one. But I'm talking about this year.
Go ahead.
Yeah, this is
that one. Yeah, I didn't see that one. Yeah,
I was talking about this year. Yeah, DeAndre Gray versus Cedar's good, but out this year, if we was to do the RBN Wars like we've been thinking about doing, like we would say SmackDown here, would it be DeAndre Gray versus Cenk, or would it be Kshama Sawant versus Ryan Grimm? And I'm asking the chat too. CJ, you can respond.
That's hard.
Who do you think is the worst? Who do you think got exposed the worst? I don't know. I think both those.
Well, I think Cenk is more just personally satisfying because you hate Cenk because he's so bad on so many issues.
And remember, Cenk called Brie a fake leftist.
Yeah, and that added part. But what I gotta say is that Ryan Grimm being exposed like this, as willing to go down with this and this illogic, and it was such a perfect person to have in this space, Kshama. Because what did we say in that video when he was here? Who do you guys like? You guys like Marjorie Taylor Greene? Was like, no, we like Kshama. And then to have them in that video is just perfect. Just perfect.
I wouldn't say Nick and Robbie just because our conversation was only 10 to 15 minutes. Like if it was longer and I had more time to expose them, I wouldn't personally put my debate up with them. I think my debate with Destiny was really good too. But that was a good one. I wouldn't put that up there with because me and Destiny, we went for like 25 minutes. And I think that went well for me. Then I debated Robbie. So yeah. But I still think, me personally, DeAndre Gray and Cenk is top, and this one is the top two. I don't know, man. I think this Kshama one is next level. If I'm picking one, I'm picking Kshama versus Ryan Grimm. And the only reason I'm picking that one over Bree versus Cenk, which was great because before that conversation, Cenk said Bree was a fake leftist, and then Bree just goes on his show and demolishes them. So that was great. But the reason why this is next level, because everyone knew Cenk was a clown, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why this is next level, because Kshama exposed this moron Ryan Grimm, which was we go after Ryan Grimm, Jimmy go after Ryan Grimm, and people pretend we are unreasonable when we do that. And there's like this small percentage of progressives, they're Intercept subscribers. These are people who legitimately believe that Ryan Grimm is good faith. I know our audience is radicalized. I know a lot of you guys on Twitter, but there's a large segment of people who think Ryan is good faith. So this debate is probably bigger just because of that. Go ahead, CJ.
Let me chime in. Then we'll if you see some comments you want. I know we got to get to the super chats. We got some. I have the same sort of take. Cenk is just so out there that he is already has sort of put his foot in his mouth so many times that he's a caricature. Whereas Ryan Grimm still has a little bit of respectability. But to me, a lot of that is gone with this interview. And I think him being part of the media apparatus more of a journalism side than Cenk, I think this is a more effective takedown. Like, we needed Ryan taken out more than we needed Cenk, because Ryan is still taken as a serious person. He's still taken seriously more so than Cenk. So I think this is more.
Cenk Uygur get dragged by the professional managerial class all the time. Right? Like, he's one of those guys that not a lot of people are buying. So,
so that's why I said I think the Ryan and did you see any other ones, or we can get the super chats, because I know
I want to make sure I get a shout out. I put a lot of super chats on. A lot of them was birthday wishes that we definitely appreciate. I want to give a shout out to Landrew for the $100. RBN and Kshama gives me hope. Show some love to Landrew. Leaves a lot of great super chats for us. Appreciate the solidarity. Thank you for the $2, Jay. Kshama watches RBN. Says as much in the debate. And man, that says a lot. I'm super excited about that.
We didn't get to the second, third time. She says it later in there. Yeah, you'll watch it and you'll be able to see it.
So she shot us out multiple times in that interview. And once again, I'm glad that you corrected Ryan Grimm when Ryan Grimm said we wanted Marjorie Taylor Greene left. He's like, no, Kshama. And that interview is and that's why it's so brilliant for me, because you told Ryan Grimm that, we wanted Kshama Sawant. And then this interview was shot literally shortly after that.
Yes.
So then Ryan Grimm was like, "Oh shit, this is why RBN liked her."
and it was perfect because she had watched the episode.
Yeah.
I wonder if she watched it because she knew Ryan was coming on, or maybe she just watched it because she watches us.
Maybe
either way, I'm cool with it.
Like, maybe she wasn't cool with it. Maybe she heard of him. She's like, all right, I know that RBN had him. Let me watch this Ryan Grimm interview. And then she saw she was horrified. Like, all right,
but on the other hand, it sounds like she sees and has seen that he has been defending them, because she makes reference to that you've been defending them all the time. You always come out and defend them, and people like you. So she makes reference to that. So thanks, Jay. That's J7.
Yeah,
he came out to the Skid Row event when Rome was out here.
Yeah, and this is another one. Ryan doesn't care that he's out here eating shit on behalf of the squad. He's looking for his next exclusive interview with AOC. And that's to my point earlier. Remember, Ryan got his assignment. That's why he sounds so ridiculous in that interview. He could not blow that assignment. If he blew that assignment, he's not getting the next one. So Ryan Grimm is getting clowned. I saw him getting clowned on Twitter.
Yeah, everywhere.
Bad Boys community clown him. We clown him on this stream. But he does not care. As the only thing that matters, his boss is assignment check. You fit. You don't care how good or bad he looks, as long as you do the job, right? Just a few more. Thanks for the $2. Please use the Lego man to represent Ryan in videos. This is another point that Ryan and them always ignore. All unions have leadership wildly out of touch with the rank and file. State and national teacher unions is just a DNC PR at this point. Yeah, that's what they are, just DNC management heads. Ryan's hatred for nuclear power revealed his evil. Thank you for $2. Enough with the grin job. And here another for Joe. Thank you for $9.99. Props to CJ listening to Ryan Grimm on his birthday. And guys, this is why I don't know this guy's. I'm not assuming or anything, but you guys see how he said this is very disappointing for Ryan. No judgment at all on this person. I don't even know if he's a Ryan Grimm fan, but this is why. Not to change Ryan Grimm's mind, but for people who may have a slightly positive opinion of Ryan, be like, damn, I thought he was cool, man. I didn't know he was this bad. That's the point of these conversations. Yeah. So I'm not making assumptions for Pedro, but it seems like you had at least some sort of positive opinion of Grimm, and this is why it's good. It's good that these people are finally being exposed. So I think I read we spotlight the other one.
That might be all of them.
Yeah, this is the last one. The rest of them are some birthday wishes already put up here. But thank you for the $5. Everyone in America watch UK political commentary. Yes, Minister. Ryan Grimm's gaslighting is Sir Humphrey and Bernard wrapped up in one boring.
We got to look those two people up.
Yeah,
Sir Humphrey.
Yeah. Anyway, I think that's all I have starred. The rest of them I put up during the chat. That since you were saying happy birthday, I'm not just.
We don't need to double back on those.
You wanted to say happy birthday. You guys really want hear me say happy birthday for the next 5 minutes. So I put them on the screen when they came up, and we appreciate all the birthday wishes. All these will be going.
Yes, absolutely, dope.
For this stream. So
absolutely. So I can say that. Thanks for all the birthday wishes. If you're able to contribute, make sure you send any donations raising money for my birthday. Venmo, Forever Mutual Aid, or Cash App, Mutual Aid Forever. You just switch them. I got a few hospital bills, got some food security issues with the mom, and some car issues. So if you're able to help, please do. If you're not, please share. Yeah. And Nick, you still working on your guests?
I'm telling you, it's Kshama Sawant.
Oh shit, we went past the JB show.
Oh shit, we probably should end it.
Yeah. Let's end. So everybody. Yeah, damn, we went over by 5 minutes. So sorry. Let's get off. So we're gonna get off, everybody. Didn't realize it. Sorry, JB and Savvy. Let's go.